All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sunday Futures Show. I know I'm a minute late. I know I said I would start showing up early. That future is just not here yet. Eventually, it will be here, and all of you guys are going to be wondering why you guys are late to the show. But, that future is not here yet. We're going to ease into it. One day we were early during the week. Doesn't make a trend yet. The trend is not your friend yet. But still, we are live. Happy Sunday to everybody. It is hot as hell in my room because the AC is not working. You can see a little bit of the sweat on my forehead, right? You're probably going to see more of it throughout the show. I mean, I got a fan going, but the fan can only do so much. I don't know why the AC is not working, but it's not working. Downstairs, it's working. Upstairs, it's not. So and like my whole setup is here. I was thinking of doing it downstairs, but I just don't have any of my stuff there. So yeah, it is pretty damn hot in New Jersey. What's the actual temperature? I think it's like 95, 86 today. It was 100 yesterday. So yeah, it's pretty hot. Regardless, we got futures to talk about. We got a lot to get into. Amit is literally cooking. That is correct. Amit is literally cooking. Futures are green, which is nice. S&P 500 was all-time highs on Friday, which is nice. And I think the trend might be our friend here in the context of futures. I think we're going to continue this momentum. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, some headlines. We had a big Trump interview this morning, so we'll talk about that. We have a huge Robinhood event, which Tanner, good friend of the channel, who I'll be streaming it with tomorrow, he found out some stuff about the Robinhood event that even I didn't know about. And it is only making me more excited for what Robinhood is going to talk about tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Here are the futures right here on the screen. Everything's green. Small caps, NASDAQ, S&P 500. And yeah, I don't think the overnight markets when they open are going to be anything too crazy, to be honest, but we do have some green, which is nice to see. So how was everybody's weekend? How'd you guys do? How's the weekend? You know what I found out happened this weekend? I found out Squid Game 3 came out. I didn't know Squid Game 3 was coming out, but this is one of my all-time favorite shows on Netflix. Season 1, one of the best shows ever. Season 2, one of the worst sequels ever. And then season 3, I just finished it. I'm not going to spoil it, but wasn't good. It just wasn't. They kind of ruined it, in my opinion. So very few shows in history have the ability to have a new concept, something that really gets the world to think, like a Breaking Bad, and they finish it correctly throughout the life cycle of the show. Breaking Bad is, Game of Thrones. I know season 8 kind of sucked for a lot of, like, Breaking Bad is one of the only shows. It's not the only show, but it's one of those shows that actually did it eloquently. Squid Game was not able to do it. So yeah, I actually watched that over the weekend and I didn't enjoy it, but nonetheless, I think Steve will be joining at around 8:30. He said he should be able to make it today. I will text him to make sure, but around 8:30 he should be on, and he's gonna ask me if I watched the movie. I'm gonna say, I turned it on and I watched a couple minutes of it. I didn't fully finish the movie. He's gonna get upset that I do, but at least I watched Squid Game. At least I freaking watched Squid. Like, I watched something, even if I didn't watch Wedding Crashers, whatever he was trying to get me to watch, or Old School. But eventually we'll watch it. Eventually we will watch some movies. Yeah, I know I was supposed to watch movies, but dude, Squid Game came out. Like, I needed to watch Squid Game. I need to watch that. So I watched that instead. It's 111 degrees in Arizona. Goodness gracious, bro. We're using Fahrenheit for all the people that are not used to Fahrenheit. It is pretty aggressive, regardless across the states. We got markets opening in about 10 minutes overnight. Bitcoin right here, 108, showing some love. Again, futures showing some love. We'll see how everything opens up, but likely will be green given that futures on the indices are pretty green. I know I promised, but dude, like, I just, like, there's something about movies, bro, where, like, I can get through a Netflix show easier than I can get through watching a legit movie. I don't know what it is, bro. I don't know. I mean, eventually I will watch these movies. I just, like, what I did on Saturday is I went to sleep, bro. You guys know I sleep on Saturdays. Like, I barely sleep during the week. So Saturdays I go to sleep. So the only time I had today to watch a movie was today. And then today I had a bunch of different errands. Speaking of errands that I had to get done today, maybe Steve will appreciate this. He probably won't. But picked up a new toy. I picked up a new toy. I felt like getting this, so I got it again. It has been, I think, 15 years since I got this type of toy. Why are you guys making fun of the shirt? It's just flowers on the shirt. What's the big deal with the shirt? That shirt is just a shirt with flowers. Like, goodness gracious. I've worn this shirt many times, actually. Probably haven't worn it in a while, though. But it's a nice shirt. It's summer. I've got flowers on. This is a toy that I got. Nintendo DSi. It has been so long since I played it, and the game that I got for this, I'm already 5 worlds in, Super Mario Bros. Look at that. Look at that. For some reason, I felt like freaking getting a Nintendo, and it only cost me $100. I actually went to GameStop for the first time in a while. I went to GameStop. The DSi was $50. The game was 30. If I ordered from Amazon, it would have been like 150. And so I just went myself. I got it. And I honestly, bro, I haven't played this game since 2007. So it's kind of like, I was just excited to get back into this again and save the princess from Bowser, you know? And so I'm here. So when I'm not worrying about the markets, which I don't even know when I'm gonna have time to play this, probably only on the weekends, but I have a new distraction. So I'm excited. I'm excited. This is what I did over there. I can't watch a movie, but enough time for games. Yeah, but the games are fun, dude. A movie is like, unless it's a really good movie. I know I didn't give it a shot. It is what it is, but I'll get scolded by Steve later today. I've never played a Switch. I had the Nintendo Wii a long time ago, but I just decided to use a DSi instead to see it. Look, I know I said I would watch movies, but I didn't, bro. It is what it is. Like, the thing about watching a movie now, when I say I'm going to watch a movie, is it feels like a chore. And when it feels like a chore, it's not fun to enjoy the movie. It feels like I'm having to watch it just to be able to talk about it later. And I want to watch a movie if I'm genuinely interested to watch a movie. And eventually I'll be genuinely interested to watch some movies, but you know, I just wasn't this weekend. And so it is what it is. Steve's gonna have to deal with that. I don't care. He's gonna have to deal with it. I think he watched The Wedding Crash. He did a poll on Twitter on which one should you watch, Wedding Crashers or Old School. And it was like 50-50. So he's like, you have to watch both. I was like, all right. Eventually we'll watch both. All right. So we have 7 minutes until this overnight market opens, and then we will get into everything. We got a lot of different headlines to talk about. Trump had a big interview today. We'll talk about that. I talked to Steve about AGNC on the Friday market close. Nothing too special about it. He just likes the divvy. He likes some of the financials. So you can watch that to get his full thoughts and read his article on Seeking Alpha. But overall, he just thinks it's a nice undervalued play with a 15% divvy. No, I did not watch Animal House yet. Dude, when we go, okay, so again, in the new apartment, they have a literal theater, like you could like rent out the theater and just like be there for free. And I think that's when I'm going to officially go on my movie binge, starting in like August, September. Like that's when it would be like, it's like a real big screen. You could turn it on. And I think that's when we'll do the movies. So all these old movies that I need to watch, we'll do it the right way. And we'll watch from there. Bitcoin right here, 108.4. Again, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and small caps are indeed green. Bunch of things happened over the weekend in regards to just how I think the markets think of trade policies. The big kind of thing on Friday, which created a little bit of a dip, if you want to even call it a dip, at 144 when Trump tweeted that we are terminating old trade negotiations with Canada. He expanded a little bit on this in the Fox News interview that we'll talk about today. I think this is just him negotiating. The market dipped at 144 as soon as he tweeted it. Then the market came back to life after hours. So I don't think the market cared that much, but essentially he was just saying, hey, we're not going to deal with the digital services tax that Canada's trying to do, which is similar to the EU. So we're going to like just stop all negotiations. I'm pretty sure Mark Carney and Trump are going to be able to get something done. They were literally laughing 2 weeks ago at G7 together. So this is not going to be that big of a deal. But ultimately what's going to matter is, hey, do we get these trade deals coming up? Because if we can't get these trade deals, I think the market's going to be upset. This was kind of the big news over the weekend. 5 minutes until we get the overnight markets open. J.D. Vance had to head to the U.S. Capitol to break a 50-50 tie in the Senate on the big, beautiful bill. Now, this was not to get the big, beautiful bill passed. This was to get it onto the debate floor. So you have to do a multiple rounds of votes in order to get the actual vote started in the Senate. And 3 Republicans voted no, which led to a tie. When this happens, the VP can break it. J.D. Vance came by, and then finally he convinced one of the senators to flip, and we had a 51-49 vote that passed to now clear the procedural hurdle to actually begin debate. This is going to involve senators proposing amendments. After those amendments, you have a final Senate vote. Then it goes back to the House for reconciliation. If both chambers agree, Trump signs it. They want to get this done by July 4th. We are 5 days away from July 4th. I am a bit skeptical we're going to get it done until July 4th. If we do get it, then that's going to be big. And that coincides with the trade deals because, again, Kevin Hassett, the White House economic advisor, said that we are going to get more trade deals. Even Trump said this on Friday. Canada and India, or China and India are the main ones after the big beautiful bill is passed. So we might need to get these bills passed in order to officially, see a series of deals get passed as well. But, now we're going to have to find out. I do think they will get it done. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen literally by July 4th, but at this point, it's inevitable. And Elon, which it was his birthday over the weekend, he was still pretty upset about this. And he was tweeting like, hey, this bill is horrible. We shouldn't do this, yada, yada. But I think even Elon acknowledges that this is going to get done eventually. It's just a question of when. And then we can kind of move on. And I think markets want it to happen. I think markets are ready to get some clarity and move forward with what the spending bill is going to look like. And, if we get it done, that's going to be important. This was another thing that made some of the rounds this weekend. Mamdani, the New York City potential mayor, most likely going to be the mayor, he had this to say on Meet the Press this morning.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
So that got some people excited, to say the least, about what Mr. Mamdani had to say. Wall Street Journal did a piece on him over the weekend, and they found out that when he was in middle school and he was running for, I believe, middle school president or student council, he promised free juices for lunch, which is it's kind of cohesive with kind of what he's promising right now in terms of, the things that he wants to give out to the world. So you got a lot of people questioning, all right, wait a second, This is very similar to Bernie Sanders rhetoric, AOC rhetoric that, billionaires shouldn't exist. Obviously, New York, which is 2% or 8% of the United States GDP, 2.3 trillion runs to that city. I don't think billionaires are going to go away. The question is going to be, how are they going to embrace Mamdani? How's he going to be able to get some concessions from them? And time will tell. Time will tell to see how he can play that out. Juice makes your teeth rot. Exactly. Spoken like a true teacher. That is 100% Melanie. Spoken like a true teacher. I think my perspective here is like, what's the line, right? If, like 999 million is good enough, $1 billion is good enough. Like should we even have millionaires? Is that ethical? Given that is some pretty. If someone has 50,000, someone has $1 million, you have 20 times more money than them. That seems pretty unequal, right? So, like, it always begs the question: what is the bright line when you say we shouldn't have billionaires? And I don't think he necessarily has an answer to that. All right, 20 seconds until we open up the overnight markets. I have some updates on Palantir as well. I know a lot of people wondering why we had that 7% drop. We'll talk about that. It seems like it had to do with Russell rebalancing, so maybe we get a little bit of a rebound here if that was the only reason. But we will talk more about that. And we are going to see how this overnight market opens. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Overnight markets are indeed open. Palantir 136, 135.20, slightly green in the overnight markets. It was at 134. It's now up about 3.4%. Let me actually pull this up from Webull here since it shows the exact overnight percentages. All right, Palantir right here up about 3.3%, 135.50. You have Nvidia up another 0.16%. Nvidia just a monster run. So we'll talk more about Nvidia on Friday, but Nvidia closed at all-time highs, 157.71. Nike, great day. One of the best days in history. That was up about 17% on the day. You got Robinhood. That's up about 0.5%, 83.51. That is green. Nebius right here up about 0.31%. ASTS is up a little bit. HIMS up about 0.69%. SMCI, that's up about 0.88 at 1%. Everything pretty much about 0.5 to 1%. Nothing too crazy given where the futures are. S&P 0.16 or 616, that's up 0.22%. So that is slightly green as well in the overnight markets. Eli Lilly's up 0.26%. Costco's up 0.09%. Nubank's down 1.8%. Nubank's actually down about 2%. Enphase down about 1%. Adobe, that's up about 0.15%. Where is Tessie? Tessie is flat across the board. Tesla is flat across the board. Where is Hood? Robinhood is green. There you go, 84.02. All right, 1.19%. I think the dip on Robinhood was like $82 on Friday when Trump did that Canada tweet. So you got Robinhood right there at 82. Grab is not open overnight, to my understanding, although we do have a couple of updates on Grab that we'll talk about, but it ended the day at around 490, 493 on Friday, but they don't trade overnight. Tesla right here, again, is flat. Robinhood 1.19. Palantir, there you go, up 4.5%. Yeah, so the Palantir dip seemed, I did buy 50 shares of Palantir on Friday. I think I got it at 134.47 or something like that. So about 50 shares on Friday after hours. I think it was like after the market closed. After I realized it was rebalancing, I was like, okay, maybe this is not that, this is not like a reasonable reason for it to be down. I don't know if it has to bounce back to 145 or was that we did hit 148 all-time highs last week, but it seems like there was a more technical reason why Palantir fell than fundamental. Bitcoin right here, 108.3, Nvidia 157.7, Netflix right here, 13.23. That's up another 0.14. Oracle's up another 0.5%. Alibaba's up a little bit. Rivian's up a little bit. Where's Big Bear AI? Does that trade overnight? That does not trade overnight. Eli Lilly 0.2. Grab now 1.4. Let's look at AMD. That one overnight is 0.44 as well. AMD 0.44. Rocket Lab, is that trading overnight? Rocket Lab. Yes, they finally added it overnight. Okay, for the longest, it wasn't overnight. Rocket Lab right here at 4.5%. 4.5% on Rocket Lab. Or maybe it wasn't overnight on Robinhood, but I think it was on Webull. So there you go, Rocket Lab as well. So the reason Rocket Lab pumped last week is because it got into the Russell 1000. So everyone, or like at least myself, I was trying to figure out why is this thing running like crazy the whole week? It wasn't really because of the launches. It was because it's getting rebalanced. Same reason why Palantir fell 10%. It got rebalanced. So from that perspective, I mean, it was a pleasant surprise for Rocket Lab. It was a weird surprise for Palantir shareholders because I think none of us like really knew that was. I definitely forgot that there was getting some rebalance, but that is why we saw Palantir go down and Rocket Lab go up as well. US 10-year 4.725, not bad at all. That one's starting to come down. There's a lot of ways to get this 10-year to start falling down, including rate cuts, which it seems like are going to happen. And if they don't happen from J-Pow, they're happening from somebody, including the shadow Fed that the market will price in eventually. We got the 10-year coming down a little bit as well, which is good. HIMS right here, Palantir again up 5.2%. HIMS right here up about 1.09. Palantir, yeah, this is totally rebound. So people are buying back just what was rebalanced all the way down. And we'll talk more about it in a second. Robinhood right here up almost 2%, 84.50. We will do a preview on Robinhood's event tomorrow, which I think is going to be really important. Rocket Lab right here up 3.1, and then AMD up 0.72. Oh, where's SoFi? SoFi closed at 17. SoFi 17.37. That's up 1%. SoFi looks like it's heading to 20. SoFi looks like it's heading to 20 minimum. I mean, above 20 would be nice. So we get those rate cuts. I think 20 is in the bag, and if it is, then that would be nice to see for SoFi. Where's Googs, which made a run on Friday? Googs is up 0.33%. There you go. You got Google right there. Yeah, 178.68. 178.68 on the Googs. Not too bad. Shout out to Trader Status Quo. We bought a home over the weekend. That's pretty cool, dude. Not bad. Speaking of homes, first of all, congrats to you, man. That's awesome. This was put out on Twitter over the weekend. Someone got a 5.96% mortgage rate from Robinhood. It's pretty cool. Not bad. I'm sure, if you shop around, there's probably other rates you can get that are competitive with that. But the average, I think, is 6.8 right now across the country. So they got a 75 bips discount rate and a $500 pay towards closing costs. So we're seeing it in action. It's not just a feature that Robinhood's offering. They're partnering with Sage Home Loans, and they're actually giving people these mortgage rates for being gold subscribers. So incredible stuff, man. Congrats on getting the home. And we are seeing some more competitive rate dynamics in the entire marketplace so that people don't have to accept, 6.8% or 7.2%, which is basically what it was for the broader half of the year. SoFi, are we moving a little bit more? SoFi, Palantir again, 136.60. SoFi, there she goes, 17.50. There she goes, 17.50 on SoFi. I locked in 2.6. I'm never moving. Yeah, I think my parents locked in 3.2. Dude, 2020, what a time. What a freaking time to buy a home. Even 2021, dude, just incredible. Just incredible. And so if you're locked in, you're locked in. You kind of have no incentive to leave. SoFi right here up about 2% after hours. HIMS above 50. That's up another 2.3%. So HIMS getting some love right here. It was up 7% on Friday, up 2.3% right now. Robinhood 84.58. Robinhood looks like it wants to get to 85, and who knows what they announce tomorrow. Maybe we really crack through above 85. And then Tessie right here up just slightly after hours, 323 in the overnight markets. Where's Circle? Does that one trade overnight? That one does not trade overnight, but that one took a nasty dip on Friday, down from 300 to 186. I think it kind of got to like 220 at one point on Friday, came right back down. Coinbase as well took a nice little dip, but that's had a great week. So Coinbase right here, 358 was down about 5%, up about 1.3 in the overnight markets. VG, that is also flat. That does not trade overnight. Uber right here, 91.87. There was that Uber Waymo expansion news over the week to Atlanta, which also helped it. Google 178.91. That's up a little bit. Grab is up a little bit, 495 on Legend. Again, it doesn't really trade that much overnight, so there's not much volume to kind of see or really track it there. Palantir right here, 136.70, again up 5%. Then Hoodie 84.46 right now. Oh, Nvidia, is that 158? Are we moving? Wow, Nvidia up another 0.5%. It hit 158.71 on Friday. Did not get above 159. That's the closest we got to it. But Nvidia right here, 158.42. It looks like Nvidia is ready to run. I mean, it's already run, but it looks like it's ready to run. And we'll talk about some more stats that kind of show that Nvidia not only is cheap, but it is one of the names that's collecting the most amount of capital out there because it's a big tech name that's cheap, growing, and every other tailwind on AI is only leading more capital to flow back to Nvidia. So we're getting some momentum there. All right, cool. So let's get into some of the headlines we got, and then we'll keep going from there. CoreWeave right here is up about 1.26%. Again, HIMS, this one's moving 3%. They hired the chief executive from Robinhood last week for their product offerings, or the to introduce a new chief product officer who was the VP of product at Robinhood. So that was a big deal for them. Back got the market to be really excited. Microsoft right here at 497, ASTS 4910, Tessie 323, basically flat. Nvidia 158, and then Robinhood 84.51, Palantir 136.85. Okay, cool. So let's get into some headlines and let's see what else we got going on over the weekend, and then we'll keep going from there. So I think the first thing we should talk about is just some of these Trump clips that we got over the weekend. He did a new interview, and that interview with Fox News, he said a variety of different things. Let's look at a couple of them. Here's the first thing he said with regards to Canada, and then we'll keep going from there.
You said you're stopping all trade discussions with Canada?
Until such time as they drop certain taxes, yeah.
The digital
People don't realize Canada is very nasty to deal with. They've charged our farmers up to 400%, almost 400% on certain products and certain, things. Our farmers want to send it, they have to pay 200, 300, 400%. People don't know that. Canada is a very tough country to deal with. I will say that.
But
and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
You'll have to deal with it.
but USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully, we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state. Okay, it really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
All right, so that's what he said about Canada, and here's what he said about the big, beautiful bill.
Cutting 1.7. Let's see, we're cutting, 1.7 trillion. Think of it. I think I just saw the number a little while ago, $1.7 trillion. But we can grow our country so much more than that. And we're not going to have to do. You also have to get elected. When you do cutting, you have to be a little bit careful, because people don't like necessarily cutting if they get used to something. And what I want to do is do it through growth. We're going to have growth like we've never seen before. Cutting one. Tariffs is what's bringing the companies in. We have auto companies building plants where they wouldn't have built here in 100 years. We have more investment in the United States right now than we've ever had before. Think of it. Yeah, we're up to almost $15 trillion. Look at this guy from last year.
Wait, how did that one get muted? It was working for the past two. That's weird. It was working for the past two clips, and now this one gets muted. Oh, no, my mic was muted when I said it. Oh, okay. Well, all I said was this last clip is about tariffs. That's all. Okay. Anyway.
Tariffs is what's bringing the companies in. We have auto companies building plants where they wouldn't have built here in 100 years. We have more investment in the United States right now than we've ever had before. Think of it. Yeah, we're up to almost $15 trillion. Look at this guy from last year. What kind of numbers they were to people leaving? They weren't coming in. Now they're coming in.
Like you said, you brought wealth back to America.
Wealth and spirit back. We have spirit. Tariffs is.
A mute is your new name. That's a good one. That's a good one. So in general, if we wanted to summarize what Mr. Trump said. He said, I would lift Iran sanctions if they can be peaceful. I don't think I need to extend the tariff deadline, but I could. I think Elon Musk is a wonderful guy. I know he'll do well, but he got a little upset, and what he said was what he said was inappropriate. We have a buyer for TikTok, a group of very wealthy people. Netanyahu is in the process of negotiating a deal with Hamas to get hostages back. We should be at 1 or 2% rates, and we're stopping trade talks with Canada until they stop certain taxes. And the clips you guys just saw are about him basically arguing that tariffs was the right policy route to go down. And basically what he said in the context of Canada is that we're not going to work with them until they start working with us. So I think the key takeaway from what he said right here is actually relatively bullish for the market. I mean, if he's going to lift Iranian sanctions and trade with Iran, that would be bullish. Definitely would be good for oil. Definitely would be good for just other products flowing into Iran and getting more money from them. A buyer for TikTok would also be very good. I mean, the United States would be able to have a stake in that. So that would just be good in general for the U.S. economy. If we do get any resolution to Israel and Hamas and getting some of the hostages back, the Wall Street Journal did report on Saturday that they are very seriously looking at a peace deal. Now, we're going to see if that happens. Russia and Ukraine, obviously, we got to see if that happens. But if any of that does get resolved, you just have more stability coming into the markets and less geopolitical instability, which is a good thing. He then said we should be at 1 or 2% interest rates. We're not going to get to 1 or 2%. However, I mean, it'd be pretty damn incredible if we get anywhere near to 1 or 2%. Most likely, we're getting 50 cuts this year, and hopefully we get a little bit more. Goolsbee, all these other Fed presidents, Bowman, they've started to warm up to the idea of rate cuts. And so that would be important. And then the whole idea with Canada, again, I think this is just negotiating. So if we get these deals, if we get the big, beautiful bill passed, which Trump was really happy about over the weekend when they got that 51-49 vote in, and then you start seeing some deals come through, which is, I think, very possible. I think it makes sense for the administration to say, hey, we're going to get these, we're going to get the biggest bill passed, which is going to be kind of Trump's hallmark policy proposal of Q2 or of his second term. That's going to be essentially what defines him. And then there is a tailwind of more and more deals that happen after that. I think that would be really bullish. Pounds right here up about 4.48%, Robinhood up 1.7. I think that would be pretty damn bullish for the broader markets if they can see that we're going to get more deals and more cuts. Yes, 50 basis points of cuts, not 50 cuts. 50 cuts would be like negative 17% interest rates or something. That would be kind of fun. Could you imagine government paying you to like take out loans? That'd be kind of hilarious. I think 50 bips is definitely possible. And I think September is the first one. As much as I want to think they're going to do July, as like the Fed presidents have been hinting, they're not going to do July. If they do, it'd be amazing, but they're not. And so, as long as we get 50 by the end of the year, I think it's going to be okay. All right, cool. So let's talk about Robinhood. So we got a big Robinhood event coming on tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. It'll just flow through the market open into that Robinhood event. Here's what Tanner found over the weekend, which is kind of signaling that Robinhood's this is going to be the biggest announcement in the history of Robinhood when it comes to crypto. So Vitalik is going to be in town. So Vitalik, who's the creator of Ethereum, for those that don't know, is going to be at this event. He's going to be doing a fireside chat with the Robinhood GM of crypto, which to me is rather peculiar because Robinhood has to pick whose blockchain they're going to be using in regards to making their tokenized platform, either Solana, Ethereum, Arbitrum. There's a lot of different layer 2s that they can go with. It seems like if they're going to speak with the head of Ethereum, the guy who made this thing, it's probably going to be Ethereum. And if it is Ethereum, this is what Tanner says, you don't fly the founder of Ethereum to Keynes just to say we added staking. This has to be massive. I'm thinking stablecoins. I'm thinking tokenized stocks. Is Robinhood about to shake up all of finance again? I think it's going to be pretty gigantic. And I think after tomorrow, people are never going to look at Robinhood the same. Vlad has said in previous interviews that he was giddy when his team told him exactly all the different things they would be able to launch by the end of this year and announce at this crypto event. I think we're going to see staking, tokenization. We're going to see a lot of shit. And if we see a lot of shit, it is going to be something where the street has to really think of re-rating Robinhood. Here's an interview with Vlad that just dropped this morning from the Bitcoin conference. And listen to what he had to say about really where their future trajectory is when it comes to crypto.
We're here at the Bitcoin conference, and your speech was largely about tokenization. So clearly that's a huge focus and something that you believe will be fundamental in the future for Robinhood. So how do you see tokenization playing out, and how do you see it incorporating it into Robinhood?
I think if I talk about it enough, eventually it'll happen.
It's called manifesting.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how that works. No, you've been hearing a lot about tokenization from me, also from some of our competitors. And I think that this year will be the first year where it'll just turn into real products that customers can use. And I think there's two benefits, really. One is, in much like stablecoin is making it easier for people outside the US to get exposure to US dollars, tokenized securities will make it easier for people outside the US to get access to US securities. Over the past few years, stablecoin transaction volumes have just skyrocketed overseas. And a lot of it is driven by people from developing countries whose currencies are losing value rapidly. So these types of folks used to hoard American Express travelers checks, right? They would just take their local currency, figure out whatever way they could to put it into dollars or dollar proxies. And so stablecoin has just kind of subsumed that. You know, hundreds of millions of people around the world have crypto wallets. They can already access exchanges. So when stablecoins actually made headway there, they were adopted very rapidly. So I think it's going to be huge for people outside the US. I think it's going to be great for companies to have access to this new, increasingly global pool of capital, and great for entrepreneurs. If we can make it easier for people to raise primary capital through crypto, it could unlock a ton of innovation in this country. So I think it's an important thing to pursue. I think it'll also do a lot to silence the skeptics. A lot of people think crypto is just Bitcoin and memes, and those are powerful things, but I think it's also going to be incredibly powerful to unlock the technology and have it power more and more of traditional financial services. And I think crypto securities are actually this big opportunity. I mean, multiple trillions that's just in plain sight.
We're here.
So, I mean, look, you know, Vlad says multiple trillions that are in plain sight. I don't know exactly what they're doing tomorrow. I think it's most obvious that they're probably going to be doing tokenization for sure, right? So, and again, the core concept of tokenization, for those that are confused about it, and even I don't fully understand all the intricacies, but essentially it allows people across the world to be able to trade US assets without having to go through their brokerage. And there's a bunch of benefits if you can just trade a tokenized version of Apple stock or Palantir stock versus actually buying or holding Apple stock and Palantir stock in and of itself. And I'm sure they're going to introduce a lot of those benefits tomorrow, but not that big of a deal for Americans, but for a lot of Europeans, a lot of people in countries across the world that don't have the type of sophistication that brokerages in the United States have, it becomes a very big deal. And they have the ability, and, you know, there's so much capital across the world that, again, as Vlad was talking about, doesn't want to be inside of their own currencies, because those currencies obviously are being devalued, inflation, hyperinflation in some places. So you'd rather put it in anything, much less Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin obviously has been a safe haven for so much of that, but like you'd rather put it in a company that has free cash flows that hopefully won't be hyperinflated away. But you need the ability to access it. And one of the reasons why crypto has got so much of a bid and is a multi-trillion-dollar industry in terms of its total market cap is because you have so much money across the world that just needs safety. And if you could open up that money to opportunities like Apple or Amazon, you know, and then people kind of know those worldwide brands, that just brings a lot more liquidity into the ecosystem. So it's one of those things that I think they're going to be innovating on at a high level. It's going to be a competitive place. Coinbase is doing this. Kraken is doing this. Binance is getting into this. I mean, a lot of companies are going after this, but if Robinhood can do it right and in a way that is uniquely differentiated, which is, you know, how they built consumer finance products, then I think it's going to be very exciting. Very, very exciting. I mean, look, $100 this year, it just doesn't sound crazy considering they're going to introduce a lot of shit tomorrow. All the Wall Street analysts are going to eat it up. They're going to upgrade the crap out of Hood. It already got upgraded 2 times to like the 95s on Friday. I think we're going to see a lot more $100 upgrades. Number 2, we're not in the S&P 500. And we know what happened to Palantir when they got into the S&P 500. They had to buy Palantir at, I think that time was like $37, $38, and they had to buy tens of millions of shares. And that was really good for shareholders who got in early, as the street had to give it a bid. And then it got NASDAQ a couple months later, and that just kind of catapulted it into a different dimension. I don't know if Hood gets into the NASDAQ anytime soon, but S&P 500 seems inevitable. Now, maybe it doesn't happen this year. It would be a travesty. I could see it happening. At this point, I'm going to have zero expectations when we have S&P 500 news in September. Like I was hyped up last time. This time, not. I'm going to just be like zen. Like if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, whatever. I'm going to be zen. Because last time I did say there's a shot we don't get in, but I didn't expect them to pick no freaking companies, and we were on the stream for 2 hours just waiting for them to put out a press release that they didn't put out. So I have zero faith in the S&P 500 committee. If they do it, great. If they don't, it's whatever. But I think after tomorrow's announcements, you can't be that committee and look at this company and say they don't deserve to be one of the top 500 companies in the United States. Yeah, Robinhood increased them, or Bank of America increased them from 65 to 95. Compass Point increased them from 64 to 96. And then Goldman increased them to 92. Bernstein already had them at 105 for the past couple months. So you do have a lot of the street just saying this story is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And again, you know, is Robinhood's market cap expensive compared to like Schwab, which has 10 trillion in assets? Robinhood has $250 billion. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, Robinhood's approaching Schwab's market cap. Yeah, I think it's like a third of it right now, but Robinhood's growing. And I think I don't want to use growth as like a conventional argument right here to justify it. Like they are sustainably growing, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop. Now, if we have some recession or something, all bets are off the table. But if they can keep innovating and keep pushing the envelope, then it just seems inevitable that these guys are going to sustainably grow minimum 20% for the next decade, if not 25 to 30%. Q2 is looking like it's going to be about 35% growth. And if that's the case, then it's just going to be hard to bet against them. And again, like, what are you buying Schwab for? The dividend? Like, what are you really buying it for, right? Like, more capital is going to come into a name that ultimately wants to see growth. In fact, the besties even talked about Robinhood on the All In podcast.
Freeberg, did you follow up with the guys from Robinhood to get the gold card?
You didn't get a gold card yet?
Well,
What
he
is
was
that
the only
for?
one. Vlad texted me and said,
yeah,
"Hey,
I got one.
Freeberg's he's the only
Gold
bestie
card
without
is
it."
amazing.
So I
He's the
said,
only-
"David, get one."
Absolutely.
This
Your
is
invite got
beautiful.
lost in the mail.
You know,
It's so
this
gorgeous.
gold card.
Oh, look, I
this-
have mine here. Here, I have
Yeah.
mine.
But you know
Mine's
where
over
this
there.
came from? This came from
Look at
the
mine.
Export
Startup I
Card,
created.
the
Okay.
startup that I funded that got acquired by Robinhood. So those guys did a great
So now
job.
you got double Robinhood shares. You got it
Yeah.
from that
Shout
and
out
from Launch Fund
Deepak
One.
and Sid. Great job.
Great job. It's a great app, by the way. And if you move your money into there, they give you, and your crypto, they give you like 1 or 2%.
And shout
Also,
So, I mean, it's just becoming a cultural phenomenon. By the way, Robinhood Crypto, that crypto match, they now have $65 million. I don't know if we're going to get 500 by July 7th. Yeah, they're at 65 million out of the 500 million to get that extra 2% match. But still, 65 million in a couple days. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty freaking amazing. And that's also what gave it, or what's giving Robinhood a lot of momentum as well. So look, in terms of Robinhood, I'm excited for tomorrow. I think it'll be good. I think the stock's going to pump tomorrow. I could also see it sell off. I mean, it could easily sell off on the news. I just think the news tomorrow is going to be so bullish for the future trajectory of their growth, especially on the highest margin part of their business. Like, they make the most money out of all parts of their business in crypto. So if they can create more transaction volumes, more institutional trading volumes, et cetera, it's bullish. Like, it's going to hard to be bearish in terms of how they expand into different industries. So from that perspective, it'll be fun to see kind of what the announcement looks like and how it'll play out tomorrow. SoFi 1750 after hours, S&P 616, that's up about 0.23%, AMD 145. That's nice. I think it hit 145 on Friday for a little bit. So back to 145, 145.50, Nvidia 158, and then Tessie right here slightly flat at 324 in the overnight hours. Okay, some charts in terms of what's going on with the macro. So let's take a look at this. Market concentration is rising again alongside the market recovery. The top 10 stocks now reflect a near record 38% of the S&P 500's market cap, aka the Mag 7, including Broadcom and a couple other names, are taking up most of the earnings growth and the overall concentration of the S&P. At the same time, these stocks account for 30% of the S&P 500's earnings. Both measures have risen by 10 percentage points over the last 3 years. To put this into perspective, the 2000 dot-com bubble peak, the top 10 stocks accounted for just 27% of market cap and 16% of earnings. Meanwhile, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple are all three worth together 10.5 trillion. So over the past 25 years, from the dot-com bubble to now, we've seen the wealthier get more wealth in terms of the top 10 companies continue to compound, and the earnings that they're putting up are taking a high percentage share of the broader market. One could interpret this and say this is bearish. This is not good. It's not good to be this concentrated in sort of tech stocks that are ultimately composing what is the United States market. I would say in the age of AI, this is good that it's happening, because again, the difference between this and .com is that .com, you had companies that were taking up a large part of the S&P, but they didn't have the revenues or the profits to show for it. Or if they did, they were incredibly cyclical, like Cisco, right? I know a lot NVIDIA gets compared to Cisco, but it seems rather obvious that NVIDIA has a good shot of not being like a Cisco, and that's why the market's giving it this much momentum. Just given AI is going to be bigger than the internet, and you're going to need more of a build out. And so you have not companies like Pets.com going public. Now you do have some stupid things that are getting a bid like a Farcoin, but nonetheless, in the midst of all that froth and liquidity, you still have the most important companies in the world, the Amazon, the Metas, the NVIDIAs, et cetera, catching a bid. And I think it would be really scary if Fartcoin was at like a $10 billion market cap, but NVIDIA was still stuck at $100. But that's just not the case, right? Eventually the market gets a little bit more efficient and starts to allocate capital where capital needs to get allocated. And NVIDIA now, year to date, at one point NVIDIA was down 50% year to date. NVIDIA now year to date 14%, which still isn't a crazy year to date for NVIDIA. I mean, it's outperforming the S&P, but you got a lot of other names. Even Celsius is outperforming NVIDIA. So I think NVIDIA has a lot more room to run if they can really capitalize on the earnings potential. And the question just becomes, is money going to find it? And so far, it seems like money is coming back. Yeah, Cisco's actually not doing horrible lately. Cisco just got to their 20-year peak at 68. Took them 20 years, but look at that. They got right back to, what was the actual peak? Okay, so not the actual. The actual peak was 80, but at least on this chart. I've seen other charts that show it the other way, but it's getting closer to where it was back in the dot-com crash. And again, Cisco was just not, it was an important company. It just wasn't as important as the company in order to get to that dot-com peak earlier. Took some time, but it's done well. And it's up 20% year to date as well. So from that perspective, I just think technology and the way we're seeing technology expand. And again, we've been through the thesis, thousands of times at this point, but AI truly is one of those things that's increasing margins, efficiencies, and giving these companies excuses to try new ways to enhance the productivity of their business. And it's working. I mean, we saw it in Q1, 13.4% versus 11% earnings growth we beat. If we can do that in Q2 again at these levels, remember the conversation back at the end of 2023, early 2024 was, where is the ROI on the CapEx? We're about to see it. And if we start seeing it, it is going to be pretty exciting. Speaking of the ROI on CapEx, look at what Tesla posted over the weekend. This was pretty crazy. I think they posted this on Friday night. The first official car was delivered autonomously. The first official Tesla was delivered autonomously. This video that you're seeing right here is a Tesla leaving its factory. Was this in California, guys, or was this Texas? I think this was California. I think this is California. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Texas. I'm forgetting which state it was. Oh, it was Texas. Yeah, Gigafactory, Texas. Okay, Texas. So look at this, bro. And it happened. And there you go. It pulls up right there to the person. Some, dramatic decline that people are calling for. So very exciting to see that. Now, quickly on Palantir. So what happened on Palantir was the Russell 1000 rebalance. So apparently there were 27 million shares of Palantir that were traded on Friday in the sell-off. And I didn't even know this, but Palantir was 9% of the Russell 1000 mid-cap index. I had no idea. No idea. And that happened. And that was the case, which means the Russell rebalance that happened on Friday, yeah, that led to a sell-off. So like the S&P hitting all-time highs and Palantir falling 9% made no sense. So I understand why people were concerned and freaking out. Granted, we're up 100% from the low, more than 100% from the low. So being down 10% is not that big of a deal in my opinion. But I know everyone wanted an explanation. The explanation was that it had to get rebalanced. So when we got into the S&P and NASDAQ, we had the opposite effect. We were getting bought into those indices, which means people had to buy shares. Fund managers had to buy the shares. This time they were forced to sell. So if that is the only reason, I imagine people would buy back stock or potentially just buy the dip if that's the only reason why it fell. There was no fundamental reason. But that is kind of the technical reason for why there was a little bit of a sell-off on Friday. And so, yeah, there was nothing too crazy on Friday. I know it was a little weird seeing Palantir go down with everything else going up, but seems like it was that Russell rebalance. And then again, you had some names like Rocket Lab get a bid that also got into the Russell. So that helped them get the $37, $36.58 right now, but it got to 37 on Friday. Overnight, yeah, it doesn't trade on Robinhood overnight. On Webull it does. Rocket Lab overnight is 36.58. Okay, that's up 3.39% as well. Quick thing on Grab. So Grab up 10% in the past week. Charts are looking nice. I mean, you got a lot of the technical people getting excited about it. The big thing I think that we saw today, and I don't know how much of this could be a nothing burger, but it is something that was interesting, is OpenAI apparently has launched custom AI deals with the Pentagon, the Indian government, and GrabbyGrab. So that was reported this morning. It looks like Grab is trying to Grab already has a partnership with OpenAI. It looks like they're trying to deepen the relationship with OpenAI. And based on this reporting from the information, it looks like OpenAI has got some of these custom deals. Some people said, oh, this is bearish Palantir. Again, the government's not going to give Palantir every single AI deal. So if OpenAI is getting some of these contracts, to me, this is just inevitable. Like the government is not going to have Palantir literally be the vendor for everything. They're going to be the vendor for a lot of stuff, but there's going to be some deals where foundation models can come in and get agreements. We know that OpenAI got that $200 million deal last week from the DoD as well. So it looks like they are starting to expand the enterprise side of the business, and Grab might be one of the kind of customers that they are going for as well. Again, I don't really trust the move we're seeing on Grab yet. It's done this many times. We realistically need to break above 530. That's the target, 530. We break above 530, I start to get more excited about what can happen with Grab. But right now, it might just be people toying with the stock, going back and forth. We break above 530, I would be a lot more excited to see what happens with Grab. All right, last chart before Mr. Stephen Fiorillo joins today. I want to show you guys this. Retail investors. I said we didn't have the data last week. Well, we got the data over the last 5 days. This came out from JP Morgan yesterday. $3.2 billion of stocks were bought by retail. The week before this, retail was basically flat. But last week, obviously, S&P 500 all-time highs, you got a lot more bullish momentum coming in. Retail began to buy. Now, the interesting thing about this is individual investors favored ETFs over single stocks. So not only did stocks get a bid, but more importantly, individual ETFs got a bid over actual stocks, and gold, energy equity funds, and broad market, VOO, S&P, those got the majority of the bid from last week's retail data. The other interesting thing about this is that only 2% of retail portfolio allocations last week were towards the Mag 7. So the Mag 7 was not really getting the biggest bid from retail, which begs the question, who's buying up the Mag 7, or at least who's buying NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, et cetera, which all had great weeks. I think it was big money that missed the run or that missed the dip in March and April and said, all right, it's time to buy the safest things, the things that are not speculative, the things that have free cash flows, buybacks, net income margins that are above 50%, et cetera. And that ended up being, some of the Mag 7 names. So it does seem like we are getting more of a bid on those. Is NVIDIA running overnight? Are we running? Where's NVIDIA? Hold on. Are we at 59? 159? Are we getting there? NVIDIA. Wow. 159.22. SoFi as well. 1775. Oh my. Oh my. If you've got some NVIDIA, your portfolio overnight should be having some fun. AMD also above 145. S&P all-time highs. SoFi 1774. Google 179. Google trying to break 180. Google's up almost 0.5%. Palantir up 4%. Tessie up now 0.5%. Tesla was flat. Now it's green. And then Robinhood 84.39. Meta 737. That's up 0.5%. Amazon 224. Dude, Mag 7's getting a bid again. Even Apple up a little bit, 201. Mag 7 is getting a bid. Microsoft's probably trying to push 500. Microsoft 496. That's up 0.17% as well. Dude, not bad. Not bad. Got some clear skies. I have not started a ASTS position. Again, that one ran away from me. I would only be interested if I see below 40 again. If I don't, it is what it is. I'm happy for the space mob in this one. I have my Rocket Lab, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I'm probably not going to be buying it at these levels. But if we see below 40, then I would get more interested. But it doesn't have to come below 40. So I think that one can do very well by itself. NVIDIA right here, 159.22. That means tomorrow, bro. Tomorrow we we do have a lot of macro data this week. If we get some strong CPI, PPI as well, going into the month of July, that could be rather bullish for NVIDIA. All right, folks, let's bring on the man who is going to scold me for a variety of things that I have failed to accomplish over the weekend, but it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know him as the chicken parm dairy dealer guy who has some stories about his milk adventures over the weekend, Mr. Stephen Fiorillo.
Why are you still playing grab ass with grab?
What?
Why are you still playing grab ass with grab?
What does grab ass mean? I'm just trying to toy around with grab. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
I mean, dude, it's up 10%. What are you talking about? Like, it's doing its thing. Can I tell you what I did over the weekend?
No, well, I know you did. You sat there and you watched TikTok all weekend.
No, I did something else.
You said you were going to watch a movie. You didn't watch a movie. You're wearing a Boston hat. I don't know why you're wearing a Boston hat.
I did something else.
Why are you wearing a Boston hat?
Do you see this, bro?
What
Do you
is that?
see? This is a Nintendo DSi. I went back to my childhood and I enjoyed playing Super Mario Brothers way more than Wedding Crashers or whatever you wanted me to watch.
Well, the poll is officially closed. You ready for how tight this poll was?
It was pretty tight. It was pretty tight from what I saw.
50.2% for Wedding Crashers, 49.8% for Old School, with 406 votes. I don't know how much tighter you can get than that.
Why did this movie, these two movies must be
They're like, think about it. This isn't 5 people, okay? The fact that it is this close between these two, these are two of the most phenomenal comedies of the past 30 years.
okay. So I didn't watch Old School, but I did look up the like Wikipedia of it. It sounds like a wild plot.
It's
Like,
wild.
The guy's wife is in this whole situation.
You
Like,
shouldn't have even freaking looked it up. You just should watch it.
I just started reading it and I was like, dude, what am I about to watch, bro?
You
Like,
need
what
to
is
watch
this?
the unrated version and just get after it.
There's a rated and unrated version.
Yes, there's an unrated version.
It's that bad, really?
Both of these movies are just iconic.
So what's Blue? Because you kept saying
You-
something about
nobody
Blue.
tell him in the chat.
You
Nobody
kept
tell him. Like, you got to
kept
watch the movie.
He kept texting me about Blue. I'm like, what is Blue? What are you talking about? What are
Yeah,
you saying?
Blue.
What are you saying? He said, would you say you said we're gonna talk about your boy Blue?
Yeah, but you didn't watch the movie, so we can't talk about your boy Blue.
All right, well, I guess I need to
Like, I don't understand. You are the worst.
dude. First of all, Saturday I slept. Today was the only day I
Oh,
had.
yeah.
slept.
You told me you slept like freaking 12 or 15 hours.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
dude. I got some sleep, bro. I finally got some sleep, and then
You're young.
I got some new Super Mario Bros. And then
Dude, I
Squid
went
Game
to bed
3.
at 2 a.m. last night and I was up at 7:45.
See, you've got issues. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That's not enough sleep. It's just not.
It's fine for me.
I did watch Squid Game 3 though, and it was disgusting, bro. It was so stupid.
The
Like,
first season was so good. The second season was that made me not even want to care about a third.
yeah. But I still watched the third just because I loved first season so much, and I was just like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah, if a show doesn't get better as the seasons progress, I will not keep watching it.
Yeah.
Like Animal Kingdom. Matt actually watched the entire series. Phenomenal. Each season got better. Absolutely phenomenal.
But you and me loved you so much that we stayed through the
Dude,
crappy,
you was so good.
but we stayed through some of the crappy seasons because we loved it so much.
I don't know that there was a crappy season. I think there were lulls in the seasons, but they all built on each other and they were just awesome.
Agreed. I would agree with that.
Like I can tolerate that. I can tolerate a lull here and there, but Squid Game season 2 was just such a letdown after how good 1 was.
Okay, I can promise you. So in the new apartment, there's a whole movie theater. I can promise you that once I move in and I have like a real,
Don't worry, we're
environment
gonna
watch
build
movies.
a movie theater in his apartment. Don't you worry.
Oh, well, I want to do that as well too, but they have like a legit one in the apartment in the
Yeah.
complex.
Well, we're
Yeah.
making sure that you get at least an 85-inch screen, if not bigger, in the living room.
How much is an 85-inch screen? It's a couple thousand, right?
They're not that expensive
It's
anymore.
not that expensive anymore, right? Dude, it's like it's $750.
No, we're not going to go that crazy, but like you can get a really good one for like 1,600 now.
Okay, the one I'm looking. Okay, 1800. Yeah, this is the one. This is a smart one. The smart TV.
Yeah.
That one wasn't a smart TV. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Cool. So
And before we get into stocks, I told you to get Haagen-Dazs because you said you wanted coffee and you got a different brand. Like you don't get coffee, ice cream in a different brand than Haagen-Dazs if you're going to the store.
okay, so
You
Steve
just
got
don't.
Steve
That's like
got-
sacrilegious.
Steve got some Columbian County coffee ice cream from the
Made
farm.
on the family farm.
From the farm. And then I texted him because he was like, you got to get coffee ice cream. I said, okay, cool. I got good old faithful. Turkey Hill.
is not good old faithful.
What's wrong with Turkey Hill?
No, there's
Turkey Hill.
flavors with brands. Haagen-Dazs coffee is the only coffee you get from the store.
I didn't think of it that deep. I just didn't.
The same way, if you're going for a cherry ice cream, there's only two you can get: Cherry Garcia from Ben and Jerry's, or the Edie's slow churn black cherry.
Dude, I wanted Edie's, but it wasn't in the shop.
Dude, the slow churn's really good.
No, I know. I mean, this is the first time in like, I think a year that I bought like a tub of ice cream. And
I love the fact that you bought 2 tubs of ice cream and you did not even touch them yet, probably. Like, you probably didn't even open them.
Okay, you might be right about that. But still, like, my grandparents are home. They can have some more ice cream. Like, I bought it for the family. So,
Okay.
All right. We'll talk more about movies towards the end, and we'll figure out if I should watch Wedding Crashers or Old School first. But NVIDIA, bro, are we heading to 160?
Dude, we're heading to 175 into earnings.
I think the market fell in love with NVIDIA again.
I think we're hitting 6,500 before the end of the summer. How about that?
6,500 before the end of the summer?
6,500. Do you see where we're at right now?
How far is that? Let me see. 650.
Do you see where we're at?
That is a.
We're at 61.93. It's not that big of a jump.
That is a. Yeah, it's only 6% move.
Yeah, that's like 5 good days during earnings season.
Oh, you're right, bro. That's a 6% move. That's nothing.
That's like 5 good days during earnings season.
My end of year target was 6,500.
I'm sticking with $7,000. I'm sticking with it. I'm not changing. I'm not shook. I wasn't shook during the freaking spring. I'm not shook now.
I mean, you did call the bottom, that 48.22.
Yeah.
You did call that bottom. That is fair.
Look, if we didn't, I actually just did the math on it. Hold on. Where is it? So from the middle of February to the beginning of April, the S&P went down 21.3%. Okay. It went down by 1,309 points. From the beginning of April to now, the market has gone up 28%.
Yeah.
Like, really think about that. Like, we had a bear market, and then we're back in a bull market because we're up 28% off the lows inside of 2.5 months.
Well, here's the real thing to think about. Has there ever in history of the stock market, and you're a little bit more of a historian, so I think you could answer this. Has there ever been a moment where we are in a raging bull market and we get a dip that takes us down to levels that we haven't seen from 2 years, 20% correction in the middle, and then within 3 months, within less than 2 months, goes back up 30%?
Not that I can remember.
I think Trump with the Liberation Day gave us the greatest dip buying opportunity in the history of the stock market. And he told us when to buy. I mean,
Yeah, not that I can remember.
I don't think we've ever seen that. And let me know in the chat, but have we gone down 20% and recovered 30% within less than 2 months? Like, that just hasn't happened in my opinion.
No, but what you had said is, have we done that and then fell off again? That's what I'm saying there. I don't know. Like COVID, we did. Very similar recovery to COVID, and look what happened after that. The market sold off like 30%, 40%.
That is fair. That's true.
And then it just whipsawed in 3 months.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing that we've seen. Like, let me share my screen.
But this time we've got earnings. COVID was just low rates. It was just inflation.
Yeah, look at this chart of the S&P. Like, tell me that this dip doesn't look exactly like the COVID dip.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Almost exactly like it.
Right?
And as long as we don't have a 2022 coming, then we get to hold on, I would say, at least for another year.
How crazy is it going to be if we get boop, just like that? Imagine if we get that right here and we go to 7,500, that area.
Palantir will be 200, baby. Palantir and NVIDIA will both be 200. Robin will be 150. I mean, Tesla will be 500. Like,
so here's why I'm starting to really believe it. Have you looked at CME Group lately?
yes, the probabilities.
They just changed their stance on a dime. I'll share it right now. It was not like this yesterday. They're now calling for 3 cuts this year.
Ooh.
It's changed overnight. This was not like this.
You're right.
And I know because I was looking at it yesterday.
I mean,
and you ready for what next year looks like? You ready for this?
What, like 7 cuts, 6 cuts?
End of next year, look at this. You got freaking 4 rate cuts is the probability from now till then. I'm sorry, no. From the end of this year, you got another 6 rate cuts next year because we're at 450 right now. And then you have a freaking 40% chance that we get more than 8 rate cuts from now to then to next year. Like they're pricing in a lot of cuts.
That means TLT, if that plays out, is probably.
I'm telling you, TLT is it shouldn't even be a sleeper right now. TLT is going to explode next year if this happens.
Well, Morgan Stanley did say on Thursday they expect
6 or 7 cuts. I saw.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so so first I want to play a clip from All In of Chamath talking about why being levered long right now makes sense. And then I want to talk about some
and him saying that S&P 7,000.
Yeah. And then I want to ask you in the chat if we're so bulled up for like the right reasons, or if there's any bear case we can put in holes for this thesis.
I gotta tell you, before you play it, my wife got me one of these Stanley thermos things. I gotta tell you, I always said I don't understand why everybody walks around with these things. It keeps stuff cold for so long. It's amazing.
No, it's legit. Those are legit. They've gone viral on social media too. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Let's play this.
You are.
I think the free money trade here is to be levered long. I think you can make a lot of money right now. Why is that? The first chart I want to show you is the velocity of money. So what is this? This is the M2 money supply. It's a measure of how much money is circulating in the economy. What this shows is the impact of rates, where we were able to start to slow down and contract the money supply. But then as you saw, as the economy stabilized and people started to project what's possible in 18 to 24 months, you started to see money coming back into the system. That's what has given a bid to the equity markets. That's great because a percentage of this capital gets allocated into things that can generate a superior return to money markets. And that's where the bid to the equity market came from. So you would say, well, where does it go from here? The next chart, Nick, if you just give the second one, is look at how much money, and again, you can just look at the last 5 years, look at how much money is sitting in money market funds. And what this starts to show you is you have trillions and trillions of dollars of dry powder on the sidelines that will need to find a home. I think that Jerome Powell is in an increasingly untenuous situation because he will be looked at as politicizing the office of the Federal Reserve. There is enough data that can justify cutting rates. If you cut rates, and we've talked about this before, 2 things will happen. Number one is people will take some amount of money out of the money market funds because they will want to go and seek superior returns somewhere else. It will increase the velocity of money at the same time. You put those 2 things together, that is a bid to the equity markets. And so if we're at an all-time high today with rates at 4.5% and Powell back against the wall to cut, the only road from here is probably up. And so you could see this thing get re-rated quite aggressively. And then the question is, do you do it where you manage your risk and you're short some stuff? Or do you just say, you know what, I'm just going to take it all up and take most of my shorts off and let the thing go? I think that if Powell starts an aggressive cutting program, either because he has to or because he's trying to keep his job, I mean, man, you could see the S&P at 7,000. Very.
Well, Powell's not keeping his job. Let's be honest.
Powell's not keeping his job.
Powell's not. I have a better chance of being Fed chair than Powell next time. Powell's not keeping his job.
I have a better chance of being Fed chair than Powell does. I mean,
I think anybody has a better chance at this point. There is no way he's Fed chair.
Okay, so let's okay. So you heard what he said. Everyone just heard what Chamath said. I think we generally can agree with that. Bear cases. Let's throw. I'm in the chat as well. Throw out a bear case. What is something we're not looking at?
Political chaos. You have conflict spread throughout the Middle East, and we get pulled into a major war. China takes an opportunity.
I don't think that's a bear case.
Opportunity to take over Taiwan. That's your bear case.
But the Middle East stuff, we just had that and we resolved it.
I'm just saying. You asked for a bear case. That's the bear case.
Okay, so I would put that in the bucket of stuff that's like just not as likely.
And I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying that's the bear case.
So let's like what is like let's be like super hardcore. Like what could happen that derails this market from 7?
I don't know how much hardcore you can get them war at that point.
But assuming that's not the case, like is there any economic, like the labor market, right? So far it's been good, but everyone anecdotally says, "Yo, Mitt, I have friends that are losing their jobs left and right." Like, so how do we reconcile that?
Right? Yeah, but right now it's not impacting corporate earnings. So unemployment can go up a little bit and earnings not get impacted. So it's going to be tough. You know how I feel about unemployment and rates, the need to bring rates down so businesses and individuals are more likely to borrow to expand and start businesses, which I think we're going to get.
This is a good question. Do you think debt ever becomes a bear case?
You would have thought it would have been a bear case 10 years ago.
Yeah.
As long as people are willing to buy our bonds, I really don't want to say it, but kind of is a nothing burger as long as people are buying the bonds.
You're going to have to say it. It really is a nothing burger if people are buying our
and I hate saying that because it's such a bad thing to say. But if there's a buyer for U.S. debt, then it's not going to throw the markets off until there's not a buyer.
That is correct. That's 1,000% correct. It's just that simple.
Oh.
So, okay. So I wouldn't say it's our debt. I wouldn't say it's our deficit because I do think we're going to unlock GDP growth that could deal with that debt. And maybe we're wrong in 10 years, but.
And unemployment is a multi-year thing that will creep up. I mean, unemployment can go up a little bit. You need spending power to erode and corporate earnings to go down. And I don't know that we're going to see that in a year, only because companies are laying people off, their expenses are getting saved. If they're utilizing AI more, you get more productivity. So it may take a year or two for a higher unemployment rate to rip through the market. So in the short term, I don't think we have anything else to worry about this year unless something else falls unexpectedly. 2026, we could see a recession.
What about Warren Buffett still being in cash?
Who cares?
What do you mean, who cares? He's Warren Buffett.
I don't care what Warren Buffett does.
Why don't you care about Warren Buffett?
I don't care what Warren Buffett does. I don't even like when people say, well, Buffett's in cash. Don't care.
Okay, so, and also he has been deploying some cash. It's not like he's not been.
Think about it. He has so much cash, he's utilizing it to churn income. He has other reasons to be in cash. And the fact that he has missed almost every great stock of the past couple of decades, why do we really care?
I mean, look, it's definitely a fair point. Also, he's not going to be running
of Apple. Think about this. He never bought Microsoft. Like, really?
Well, I'll say he's not even running Berkshire anymore. I mean, he's
not even running Berkshire anymore. But regardless, he never bought Microsoft. Say what you want about Meta or anything like that, like him not understanding it. How do you not understand Microsoft enough to buy it?
Yeah, he missed.
Like every computer for business is run on Microsoft Windows. Everybody uses Microsoft Office.
You're not wrong. The dollar, people say that's a bear case, that's going down. I don't think the dollar is going to get anywhere near the 90s or below the 90s. And if it does, you've got plenty of stablecoin demand along with SLR ratios that are increasing. That is going to give the dollar and treasuries more demand. So that's not that concerning. What about inflation being sticky? Do you think that could be the bear case?
At 3%? Who cares?
No, yes, who cares? But what if the Fed... Well, we're going to get a new Fed chair, so.
Going to get a new Fed chair. They could not cut rates at all this year. Powell's gone 8.5 months. So.
That's the thing. Every time I think about the Fed, I'm like, he's done. He's gone soon. So you can't get that bearish or use him as the bear case because he's going to be out of here pretty soon.
And bring up that comment. Is Steve complaining about Buffett not being a good investor, whatever? So, you have to remember something. Buffett's like 97 years old. Okay. He built an amazing company that nobody will be able to replicate. When you think about how many companies he's acquired, from Duracell to Geico, everything that he's bought, Fruit of the Loom, nobody will ever create another Berkshire Hathaway. He's one of the greatest businessmen of not just a generation, but of all time, if not the greatest businessman of all time. Okay. So you got to take that aside from investing. His investments, like Coca-Cola, he bought in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
You have to remember that. So he made a big initial investment in stuff like that so long ago when technology was not a thing. And he let those dividends compound for decades and decades and decades. And when you think about where those stocks were back in the day versus where they are now, plus all the compounding effects, I mean, he has not got anything in tech over the past 10, 15 years. His big thing was selling out of IBM and then moving into Apple, but he had to be convinced by Carl Icahn. Never bought Amazon, never bought Alphabet, never bought Meta, never bought NVIDIA. He bought Apple because he had to be convinced, never bought Microsoft, never bought Netflix. He never bought any of those companies. So I'm not really caring what he's doing in the stock market now. I'm not using that as an indicator for me to put money in the market or take money out.
He did buy Apple, though.
I did say he bought Apple. He had to be convinced by Carl Icahn to buy Apple.
Okay, I want to show you this. I don't know if you saw this, but I want to get your reaction to what Bessent said when he was asked if he might be the next Fed chair.
For Fed chair come next year, your response, is that a job you'd consider taking?
Look, I'll do what the president wants, but I think I have the best job in Washington. We're making meaningful change, working on the president's agenda every day. I get to work closely with the president. I think that, as I like to say, we've done peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals. We spent the first 100 days setting the table on those. Now we're going to be landing all those over the next 100 days. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting.
All three of those we've been talking about this week. Finally, the idea, and I think...
Could you imagine if Scotty B is the next Fed chair?
Wouldn't suck.
Could you dude, get all that money out of those money market funds and put it into something else. If that
so here's what I don't understand about the Fed. Why can't we just say we're going to leave rates at 2.5% or 3%, and we're only going to move rates in dire straits and let the free markets work? Because if inflation is at 3% versus 2%, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It just doesn't.
Look, you're not wrong, but
you want company, I care more about employment. You want companies to be able to borrow at a rate that makes sense so they can expand and create jobs. You want to reward entrepreneurship and allow people and make an environment where people can go borrow to start businesses. You want maximum employment. You can't have that with 4.5% or 5% rates. Not to mention, you have a housing market that is frozen. You cannot, when you look at can you bring up a chart of 30-year mortgages for the past 10 or 15 years? Or even just the Fed funds rate, whatever's easier, when you have rates that are 25 bips for a period of time and then go up like this, so many, look at that. You had a period from 20.
Dude, mortgage rates were 18% in 1981.
Back in the 80s. Yeah, but we're getting 18% in money markets also. It's a different era.
But still, bro.
If you ask your parents, the stories are crazy about what you were getting in interest. Just make it a little smaller so we can see the percent. There you go. So back in 2014 or so, 2013, you had rates at 3.25. Heading into 2020 and 2018, you had rates. What is this? The third year fixed?
Yeah.
You had rates around 3.5%. Then in 2020, they got down under 3. You can't have rates where they are and expect people to move unless they're moving for work because they're locked in with golden handcuffs. There's no incentive. And then when you look at where the Fed had rates, because this is just the 30-year fixed, the Fed funds rate in two separate periods was over a percentage point in the past 15 years. So you have companies that if they have to refinance debt, you don't want them to, from 2010 through 2016, you had rates at basically nothing. So companies who borrowed capital at those levels, if they have to refinance at these levels, that's going to make their earnings compress and that's going to add to unemployment. You don't want that.
Okay, but you're living in a fantasy that we get rid of the Fed. That's not happening.
I'm not saying we get rid of the Fed. I'm saying that we need to have Fed funds rates at 2.5%. Is what I'm saying we need.
Well, Trump
Because-
agrees. He said 1% today.
I don't know if I'd go down to 1%, but I could see 2%, 2 to 2.5%, and just leave it there unless something really happens. But don't tinker with it unless you don't have to. Because at 2 or 2.5%, businesses, lending companies make money, banks make money, and businesses are able to borrow at a good rate.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think in 2022 it was necessary for the Fed to raise to 5.5%? Is that a
No.
good thing? But inflation was at 10%. How did you want them to deal with that if we didn't raise?
If you don't raise, if you didn't have to raise as high as they did, all inflation was because there was more demand than supply. Remember, a lot of it was because of the global supply chain.
Yeah, but you also had to get people to stop buying $5 million NFTs. Like you had to, you had to make money. The cost of
People
capital.
are going to be, look at Labubu right now. Like, that stuff's always going to be there. I'm not concerned about people spending their money foolishly. Like, I am way more concerned with interest rates being in a place where you can conduct business. Because if there is a market for something and there's a void to be filled, businesses will come in because the reward is profit.
Yeah.
And that's what you want.
No, I agree.
It would have got right sized.
All right. So is the conclusion, chat, is that the conclusion? We don't have a crazy bear case. Like
For 2025, I don't think so. I think we need to be worried about recession in 2026 if unemployment skyrockets. Like, I think the bigger question is we need to figure out what we're doing with AI replacing jobs and robotics replacing jobs. And I don't know that anybody has an answer for that.
Yeah, tariffs. I don't think tariffs, dude, literally Trump said today he will freaking extend the deadline, the July 9th deadline.
We know he's going to just keep rolling it out.
It's like a covered call for him, bro.
Exactly.
He'll roll up, but he doesn't care, bro. He does not care. Like, it's kind of wild, bro. When we look back on this arc of history in the stock market, the fund managers that genuinely believed the guy on The Apprentice was going to tariff South Africa 55% and sold NVIDIA at 110 because they couldn't, but like, that's going to be one of those things that's going to be studied for the next century.
I mean, NVIDIA was at what, 98 or so in April?
86 at the lowest.
86? Like, think about that.
Yeah, my lowest buy was 97. And it wasn't even just Wall Street, dude. Even people on retail, like big X accounts were like, when I was posting, I was buying the dip, they were just like Cisco. And like you and me in April and May, you came on the channel every Friday and you were like, this is freaking stupid. We know
it's not Cisco.
It's not
Palantir is, if you want to make a Cisco comment,
don't do it.
Palantir.
We don't have to go there. We don't have to go
No, but I'm just saying, like, don't use NVIDIA.
But don't use Palantir either.
Well, NVIDIA's got a little bit more profitability and
we can use anything else. I'd rather use NVIDIA than use Palantir, to be honest. Like,
you can't use NVIDIA and compare it to Cisco. Like, come on.
Yeah, but like the point I'm trying to make is that even retail started getting the sentiment that, oh, this is the end of the world. This is really, but now the majority of retail still bought the dip, but there were some.
Remember, every dip gets bought. Every dip. There's money coming in every 2 weeks on auto feed from retirement accounts. And every dip, people see a potential to make money and they put money in that's on the sidelines. And we haven't even discussed 7.4 trillion sitting in money markets. That doesn't even include CDs or bonds.
Yeah, I mean,
What
I
happens
think
when that flows in?
we were talking about this over the weekend, but like someone needs to make a shirt that says every dip gets bought, because
No, we are making a shirt that says that.
In this day and age, every dip.
No, not this day and age. Bring up a 100-year chart of the S&P.
No, I agree on a macro level. I'm just saying, given how much more liquidity and retail participation is there, retail sees a 120 dip on Pouncer, they're buying that.
Remember this. This isn't the 80s or the 90s. Everybody has a smartphone and everybody now has access to the market. Back in the 90s, people didn't have access to the market. People didn't want to spend $35 or $40 to buy stock. People didn't want to call somebody at Quick and Riley or somewhere. Like, the market was not accessible to a lot of people. Now, anybody with a cell phone has access. You have greater liquidity because of that, and everything moves so much quicker. A bear market that would have taken 6 months to correct now takes 2 months to correct.
Yeah, and now
And one more thing. Remember, pensions are pretty much a thing of the past. So what replaced pensions? 401ks. What are 401ks? They're basically a shell holding for S&P index, total market, and target date funds. So instead of money going into a defined pension contribution at a company, now you have people investing in 401ks, and that money's coming in every 2 weeks into the market. I mean, when COVID happened, I don't think anybody stopped freaking putting money into their 401ks.
No. I mean, it's just it seems hard to imagine that there is going to be this massive 20% drawdown for the rest of the year unless there is a reason that Trump gives you again. And so far, we haven't had that reason.
I'm not seeing it. I really think it's 2026. We could have a recession. And I think it is dip the buy. That's hilarious.
Dude,
that's going to be a Mitt's hat.
Hold on. Do you know one of these phrases that I've been saying for the past couple months, but only recently I've noticed I've been saying it?
Okay, people are now referring to me as Steve the Tank, and that's from old school. And Amit has no idea what you guys are talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But hold on, I got to show you this. So, do you know I say this phrase? And okay, I just want you to hear it and tell me if it makes any sense. All right. Of course. But is Netflix's valuation aggressive? Yeah. Netflix's PE currently right now for a company that does that sound weird to you by any sense? What I just said?
I didn't think it sounded that weird.
I'm saying currently right now, which makes
it's,
no sense.
It's like a double negative. I mean, people do it all the time.
But I say it like almost 50 times a stream, dude. It's getting kind of like up there.
You can lose the currently or you can lose the right now. You don't have to
but I say both every day, and I tell myself I'm not going to do it, but then I keep doing it. It's kind of wild. I was really proud of myself on this though on Saturday. I don't know if you saw this tweet. Did you see this tweet? You saw this tweet I put out?
What tweet?
It's a really important tweet, dude. It's a really important one. I don't wear a watch because the time is always now.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I like that.
I felt proud of myself for that one. I should have said
I wear a watch, but
I should have said the time is always currently right now. That would have been.
I've worn a watch for so long, it feels very weird when I don't wear a watch.
Yeah, I don't like, because my phone has the time. Like I
get that. I get that.
Dude, this Boy Blue thing. I've got to watch this now. Got to figure.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were gonna have a conversation about Blue.
Oh, we will. We have to figure out which one I need to watch.
I mean, Wedding Crashers squeaked it out in the last 5 minutes, but I mean, they're both so iconic. I'm going to start doing polls like that more often. I don't think we're going to come up with a poll that freaking close.
Well, we can try it on YouTube in a little bit and see what people think. But your Twitter poll was very,
that is split down the middle.
Split down the middle. Okay, so let's do like 10 more minutes on a couple topics, and then we'll end it out with which one is the better movie to watch. So we concluded we don't really see a bear case for the end of 2025 outside of unemployment ticking up, which we'll keep a tight monitor on. Inflation should be coming down. Trade deals should be coming in. Big, beautiful bill should be getting passed. So all of that seems to be a tailwind. Financials in Q2, I think, are going to do great because of all the deregulation, SLR ratios, IPOs, M&As, all that stuff.
Market's going to be at 65, 6,600 before the end of the summer. You watch.
So people say this all the time. If someone says if we say there's no bear case, that is the bear case. And I think that's it's just like people say that to say that, like, because if you're going to like, so the underlying argument here is that everything is so good that something bad has to happen. And I get it, that because historically that's happened, but I'm just asking for the data to, like, unless it's a black swan, which you can never
And keep
predict.
in mind, this isn't 1999. There's
not.
so much data out there. Like, I am old enough to remember how much data there was in 99 in the early 2000s versus now. There was no data like this. Like, there is so much data for us to consume and analyze, and there's so many people aggregating information that it is a completely different landscape.
And what's also important is it makes the market efficient. Like, the market is just a conglomerate of as much data it can figure out to then represent equity prices. And if we have so much more data, the reason why the tariff meltdown was so bad is because no one expected what Trump put out, which is why it was that bad. But if we've got all this data, unless there's something coming that we just absolutely can't see, like, what exactly is the bear case?
The only thing that we can see is that unemployment is going up. And historically, when unemployment has gone up by 1 percentage point or more, we've either been in the start of a recession or a recession immediately started. So that is the big thing that we need to worry about, because we really could head into a recession in 2026. And you know, I am very, I don't talk about going into a recession a lot. I normally talk about we're going to avoid a recession because of X, Y, or Z. I think it's become more likely 2026 at some point we do have one. But that's only if unemployment continues to go up. We got to see how it goes.
What about valuations? Is there any concern on your head? Like, I know there's some names.
Yeah, I'm concerned that some things are crazy cheap and some things are crazy high. I mean, Alphabet at 15 times 2027 earnings and Amazon at 24 times. Like, what are we doing?
Well, so I'm happy you said that, because in 2021, everything was just crazy expensive on the valuation front,
Right.
which ended up being the bubble of 2022.
Look at stuff like Cloudflare where it's trading.
Now you're saying there is froth, but it's balanced with the fact that froth can come down and go into safety or high quality, like a Google or an Amazon, right?
I mean, I haven't looked at SPYV lately, but I mean, the largest freaking value companies right now are Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon. That has never happened in the history of me looking at the market.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, they are considered value companies by State Street.
And again, some of the companies that are getting an aggressive premium are unicorns. Like, I know we're going to point to Palantir, but like, we all know Palantir is getting a premium for a variety of different reasons. Now, the Circles of the world that are getting their premium, I think, are a bit frothy, but Circle's also the de facto stablecoin company. So it maybe doesn't have to go to 300, but it doesn't have to go back to 30 IPO price, right? So it's not like 2021 where Meta was at $1 trillion when Meta did not deserve to be at $1 trillion in 2021. And it needed that correction. Meta is cheap right here, even at 740. It's not crazy at all if you believe in their growth expectations for the rest of this year and into 2026. And Google obviously is ridiculously cheap. But I think that is one of the key, when someone asks you for a reason why this is different than 2021, if you're friends or you're in a group chat, text them Google stock. Be like, is this 2021 to you? Google? Really? 17 times earnings? That's
Well,
2021?
it's about profitability. I mean, Alphabet's going to make over $100 billion in net income this year. Like, that's not a company that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
But I'm going to build something out real quick.
The market's not giving Apple a crazy bid either, which is actually kind of good. The market's saying, hey, Apple, we're letting you stay at 30 times, but we're not taking you back to 250 anytime soon because we know you're just not putting up the growth. In 2021, this thing would be at 300 just because the market would do whatever it wants to do. And I think that
is actually so disgusting right now.
Expensive or no?
So I should have bought this again. I made a good amount of money on this back in 2021. I bought it for like 34 and sold it an average price like 185.
Well, why'd you sell it?
Because I was up like 9 or 10 times on it.
Oh, so why are you upset? You made good money.
No. I'm upset I didn't rebuy it when it went back down to 40.
Ah.
My buddy who's in IT told me to buy it. He's like, trust me, buy it.
The other bear case is AI takes away everyone's job.
Which I'm worried about.
But I think that's minimum 5 years away.
Not everybody's, but I think you're going to start seeing unemployment go up, and people need to really have a conversation about this, and we need to figure something out.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Guys, we will be streaming the Robinhood event tomorrow, 11 a.m. It'll be exciting. I'll be with Tanner, and yeah, very excited to see what.
How good of a company are they?
Dude, it's been so fun. Like, it's really been so fun. I mean, and they're not stopping. This is one of another couple events. They're gonna have another event in October. Like, they are just pedal to the metal, stepping on everyone's throat. And yeah, it'll be the end of the market open, so it'll just transition into the Robinhood stream.
I want to show you something.
Okay, while you're looking for that, let's see what else overnight.
No, I'm building it. Just give me 1 sec.
Google 179, Reddit 145, DoorDash 244. Oh, let's listen to this while Steve's waiting real quick. This is Tom Lee talking about the impact of humanoid robots.
I would say over time, there is going to be concern about the ethical safety of a robot. And that's why I think a Western developed robot will be more widely adopted than a non-US one. Because you never know if there's like a hidden like switch that turns it into murderer, you know, or one that turns it into spy. You know, a hidden chip, hidden code. So I think that's why arguably China's AI is way ahead of the US because they've had better surveillance and therefore their robots will be more intuitive. But then, you know, can you trust 1 million of these robots in America? You know, like,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying
these are real issues people are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I think provenance matters, you know? Is this like a sleeper spy? So
this is my sort of crackpot theory of the case, but I think that we are underestimating when we talk about humanoids how violent human beings will get against them. We just saw in LA there were this burning of the Waymos. You can look at that at a bunch of different ways. I think it's being underappreciated how that is in some ways a symbolic revolt against automation and big tech. If this happens, it'll be the most difficult tech rollout we've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is going to be pretty wild when these robots.
People are going to be using flamethrowers against them, and it's going to be wild.
People are going to treat these robots like they're you know, their own personal whatever that they can do anything to. So like it's going to be a massive industry, but I'm curious to see how humans are going to treat them. Yeah, we talked about Palantir's price action on Friday. It was Russell rebalancing, so I don't know if it gaps back up into the 140s, but definitely wasn't a fundamental reason for that 10% drawdown that we saw. It would be costly for people to destroy their robots. That is fair. You're going to need robot insurance. Dude, there will be a whole industry on insurance for robots, right?
There's going to be robot insurance.
I've never even thought of that. Tesla's probably going to sell Optimus insurance. Why not? Like, you're freaking Optimus. Your Optimus, you have it doing some work on the deck and then it randomly falls off. Like, that's your fault, Tesla's going to say. So you have to pay to repair it.
It's going to be a wild world in the next 5 years, Matt.
How did you feel? Did you have any thoughts on the Tesla autonomous delivery of a car for the first time?
Yeah, it's a cool story. Is it going to translate into freaking earnings? I don't know. Like, I'm not buying a Tesla because it drives itself to my house. Sorry. Like,
no, but it doesn't make you emotional seeing this?
No.
You don't get a little, they put it out on Elon's birthday too. Like,
no.
You don't feel a little inspired that you are alive? All of us are alive with a car driving itself to someone's house. Like yesterday, I had to drop my mom and my grandparents somewhere, and I just sat in the car with my arms. I sat like this. I sat like this in the car. the whole time. And my mom was like, "Can you stop having your arms like that and showing off?" I was like, "No, I'm just letting you know. Like, I'm not touching the wheel. Like it's so cool, bro.
Oh, it's definitely cool.
It's happening right now, you know, and it's just amazing to see it. All right, I'm not having a quarter life crisis. It's not happening. Wait, maybe that's why I bought the Nintendo. Yo, maybe that's why I bought this shit. I was wondering why I bought it. Maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna be 28 soon. Maybe that's why.
All right, so this is why this time is a lot different than 09, 08, 2000. Because you have so many companies that are the biggest companies in the market that are trading at less than 30 times earnings. Look at this. Amazon, Broadcom, Nvidia, Apple, Meta, Alphabet. It's crazy. Then you have Costco trading at 44 times. Like the fact that Walmart is trading at a higher valuation than Microsoft, what are we doing? What are we doing? Or Amazon, it just doesn't make sense. I think that you're going to see money come out of some of these high flyers like Cloudflare. Cloudflare is trading at 135 times 2027 earnings. I think that's going to end. And then you look at free cash flow. This is big difference. Let me take this off. Hold on. So it's crazy that Cloudflare is trading at 314 times free cash flow.
Can you zoom in?
And it's got a 12% free cash flow yield. That's crazy talk. So there are things that are drastically mispriced. Look at free.
Can you zoom in? Can you zoom in? Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
I mean, look at a company like Altria. And I know people don't like Altria, but the bottom line is it trades at less than 12 times free cash flow, and its free cash flow margin on revenue is over 40%. This thing is a money printing beast. And then you look at something like Nvidia. Nvidia's got almost a 50% free cash flow yield. Like, companies are generating so much profitability. This is nothing like 2000 or the other periods. And I do think it's going to be a rotation out of stuff that has gone wildly high into things that are trading at good valuations.
So the name that you told me about on Friday that I still can't believe, freaking Philip Morris, guys, is up 50% year to date.
60%.
Well,
50%. I'm sorry, 50. Yeah.
What I don't realize, and let me know in the chat if anyone takes these. I didn't know Philip Morris owns Zyn.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I am seeing Zyn everywhere. I've never tried Zyn, but I'm seeing them literally everywhere. It's like the cool thing to do now in terms of nicotine. And you would think a 3% dividend yielding stock would not be up 50% in 6 months, but it is because of Zyn.
Look at the past 5 years of Philip Morris.
Past 5 years. I mean, this is how
it's up like 180%.
Well, this is a sleeper, dude. This would have been some of the easiest money we could have made this year on a safe name that actually, you know.
I mean, I did put out bullish articles on it.
Do you own this?
No, I'm in Altria, which is up a lot also.
Yeah, so the same industry is doing well.
Yeah, type in Mo. Look at Mo over the past year. And Mo still has a 7% dividend.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Do a year.
But like I didn't realize Zyn is that big of a deal, bro.
Zyn's huge.
Like and so okay, hold on. So I don't know if you know this, but maybe the chat does. There are other companies that make Zyn though, right?
Well, they make a nicotine pouch. Yeah, Skull. There's some other pretty big ones.
Okay, but Philip Morris owns the brand Zyn. Yeah, Zyn is a brand of nicotine pouches by Philip. Okay, so that's got it. Yeah, so I mean, when you've got names that are producing this type of free cash flow, yes, the fart coins are still worth $1 billion, but if that money rotates, they have plenty of areas to go to, aka Google, Nvidia, Philip Morris. I mean, there's so many names that are out there.
Look, Altria Group can go a lot higher. It's got a 42% free cash flow yield, trades at less than 12 times free cash flow. Like it can go higher. But companies like Verizon and Altria Group are going to catch a bid. I don't know what, and you can say that Altria Group's already caught a bid, sure, but look at Verizon. Where's Verizon's share price in that? Verizon's got 6.5% dividend. You have the risk-free rate of return declining. People that have been sitting on the sidelines because they're generating yield from their cash, they're not coming back in the market to buy Amazon. They're going to be coming back in the market yield hunting. And they're going to look for names that they believe are stable, that gives them dividend growth and a solid yield. And Verizon's paying 6.5%.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I think it goes to the broader point here that there is capital that is on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of ways for that capital to find a home. Plenty of areas for the capital to find a home.
I mean, when have we ever heard the theme T-bill and chill?
Yeah.
Like, really think about that. Like, that became a major theme. T-bill and chill. I'll take my 5% and wait it out. You got destroyed by the market. And now you're not getting 5% anymore. The 10-year is almost at 4%, and eventually it'll be under 4%. So it's not going to be nearly as lucrative, and that money is going to come back into the market. Some of that's going to go into dividend-producing assets. But when I see companies like Apple and Meta trading at less than 25 times earnings, and you have companies like Walmart and Costco trading at 30 and 40 times earnings, to me, that's crazy. Like, why would you want to buy Walmart over Meta or Apple?
Which means, you and I had a thesis that on December 31st, we did a stream. And our thesis was all of the CNBC analysts that are saying we're going to get a rotation out of large cap, which was like the theory that all of them
I said we were getting a rotation into large caps.
We were wrong, though, for the first 5 months. Big tech sold off. But I think we're going to be right towards the end of the year.
We weren't talking about right away.
We weren't talking about right away, but you and me thought, no, people are going to the big will get bigger. And we were wrong. NVIDIA fell.
No, but the big have gotten bigger, though.
Well, NVIDIA's only up 15% year to date.
Relative to all-time highs?
No, I get it, but relative to where we thought it would go, it is underperforming. But
nobody could have predicted Liberation Day.
Well, exactly.
And if that didn't happen, where would we be right now?
I mean,
will we be at 6,500 right now?
Oh, 100%. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, if we didn't have Liberation Day.
We didn't have Liberation Day or any of this bullshit. Think about that.
Yeah, because the market was ready for 10 or 15% tariffs. They weren't ready for the craziness that Trump introduced.
And a lot of the big financial institutions had 6,600 to 7,000 on the bingo card.
Dude, they raised BMO on Friday. They said we're back to 6,700. So they did come back.
We're going back in a risk-on environment. I'm just worried that there are risk-on names that are so toppy right now that I think that you're going to see a rotation out of some of those and into the being up. Like Alphabet, if you're a value investor, like if you actually buy companies because of their profitability and getting a discount on great companies, there's no better buy than Alphabet right now.
I agree.
Like 15 times 2027 earnings, generating $100 billion in profitability, buying back a massive amount of shares, and still growing revenue.
It's a joke. It's literally a joke.
There's no blemish.
Well, the elephant in the room is that search is coming, but there's so many ways. I mean, even this news on Friday.
People have been talking about that for years.
Yeah, now they got OpenAI to use some of their TPU chips. I mean, it's just there's too many things about Google that you can bet on, even if search takes a little bit of a hit.
Yeah. Services. Don't forget they own Android, Waymo, YouTube, Cloud.
Yeah, agreed.
Alphabet is the freaking Berkshire Hathaway of tech.
Okay,
I'm going to use that as my next freaking article title about Alphabet. I'm going to write that down.
Well, you just saw the master in action right here come up with a Seeking Alpha article. Oh, I saw another title. Dude, I was going to tell you about this. Someone on Seeking Alpha. Oh, man, they had this. Guys, do you remember on Friday they had this really good title? And I said I was going to steal it. This is Steve Seeking Alpha, by the way. What was the title? Oh my gosh, it was. I gotta remember it. It was about some random stock, but the title itself, I forgot it. I'm gonna try to find it again.
I think what's crazy when I look at the views on my articles, these yield max articles, they get so many views. Like people love these things.
Yeah, people appreciate them.
Like people, I gotta tell you, NVDY, it's pretty crazy the return so far.
I didn't mean I was actually stealing it. I just meant the title was. I don't even write on Seeking Alpha. Just the title was catchy. It was on APLD, dude. It was this. Let me see if I can find it. It was the most unique title I've ever seen. Interesting title. No, it's not there. I was surprised Seeking Alpha even approved it because they're always so authoritarian with like fun titles.
It definitely wasn't.
Oh, this one. Yeah. This was the one. Someone was like, Google, sell your shares so I can buy more, or something like that. It was so good. I liked it.
I like it.
Literally, because usually Seeking Alpha doesn't, approve the raunchy ones. Like Google, sell your shares, I will buy them. I was like, that's a hell of a title. That's bullish, bro. Someone's like, hey, sell them so I will buy them. That's how bullish I am that you're wrong, and I'll be right about this.
So, Mitt, what are we watching tonight?
Okay, so are we done with stocks? We're going back to movies now? We're done with stocks? Yeah, it was sell your stocks so I can buy more. I love that title. I loved it. First of all, real quick, do you have any thoughts on Big Bear AI? Because everyone's asking me about this.
I ask you that all the time, and you tell me not to buy it, and freaking it keeps moving.
Well, no, it moves up and it moves all the way back down. It went from 10 to 5, and then it came back down to 2, then it came back to 5. I mean, this is just pure hype, in my opinion. And maybe it'll get squeezed higher, but
I mean, it's looking pretty good.
Okay, go ahead and buy it then. Go have fun.
You guys told me not to.
No, I'm telling you, I'm not chasing this. You want to go chase it? Go ahead. I'm proud of myself this year. I have not chased any of this nonsense that's been running. And yeah, I've missed out on money, but I've also saved myself from buy. Literally, we saw a stock, Steve.
Like I told you guys that they freaking got government contracts, and you guys were like, "Don't buy it."
Well, okay. First of all, you have to look at the government contracts and see how monumental it actually is for the company. But number
Listen,
two,
you guys do all the research in these companies.
No. We saw a stock called CYN on Thursday. We saw it go from $4 to 37. At 37, this is literally on video. I'm like, I think they're going to dilute right here. 2 minutes later, someone puts in the chat, CYN announces 15 million direct offering, and then this thing drops to like 13 or 12. And then it bounces back to 20, and then it comes back down. Now it's at 17. I mean, like, this market is a bit too kangaroo-y with some of these names. So I just don't want to chase them. I'd rather not chase it. Do you have any thoughts on Iran? This is another thing.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, we might do a deep dive on that. People are looking.
Iran Limited? What is this?
It's a Bitcoin miner, but it's also a energy. They're working with some hyperscalers for energy.
I don't have enough time to look into that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just like I'd rather buy names of companies I'm fully committed to and not chase. And I know how fun it is chasing, and like especially if you get a thrill of actually getting it in the midst of it going up. But it's just unhealthy and toxic a lot of times if that's like your entire mentality to invest in. And so it's fun to look at it, but
I'll give you a hot take. You ready for a hot take?
What?
XRP to the moon.
You made a lot of people.
When they sign this bill in July, you wait.
Dude, I hope XRP goes to the moon.
I hope it does too.
I don't fully see it, but I hope it does. 220 right now, like if it's going to the moon, you should be buying more though. Just saying.
So I have a whole plan about how I'm going to get out of the position. You ready?
Okay.
I'm going to sell 20% at 100, 20% at 500, 20% at 1,000, and then I'm just going to leave the rest until whenever.
Is this how
if it never hits 100, I'm never selling it.
Is this how you fantasize about your position? Like, is this?
I'm telling you that I've done a tremendous amount of research, and I think that it is going to be one of the railroads to completely overhaul the SWIFT banking network. And there are a couple of these things that are going to be utilized. And Ripple has so many partnerships. Like, this is what people don't get. The back end partnerships that Ripple has, I can see a place where the Swift banking network gets disrupted. That's what this is a play on. Like, I wish Ripple was a public company. I'd be buying it hand over fist.
All right.
Like, people are saying it's not even possible. You have to think about it like this. The Swift banking network moves $5 trillion a day.
Dude, you've said this stat a trillion times. That doesn't justify why it would go to 100. Like, you're just throwing out stats that have big numbers that make it sound cool. Like, that's just not. No,
Listen, what does Ethereum do? Ethereum's at freaking what, $3,000?
Yeah, but Ethereum is fundamentally differentiated from XRP.
Nobody uses smart contracts.
Well, enough people.
Businesses and people are going to need cross-border payments with 3-second remittance that don't cost them pretty much anything.
SoFi is working on remittance. Robin is working
and I'm starting to change my tune on SoFi right now.
But I don't think they're using XRP to
I'm not saying they are, but I think they may be able to create their own stable coin with liquidity and use Galileo's rails to do cross-border payments.
So why aren't stablecoins super bearish for XRP if your thesis is cross-border payments?
Because XRP is going to be the one ring that rules them all. And you've never seen that movie, so.
I've never seen that movie.
You've never seen Lord of the Rings, and Karp named his company after the second movie.
It is what it is. It is.
You've never seen those movies.
All right, fine. All right. So that is the end of the future show. Thank everybody for being here. The next 20 minutes are going to be Steve roasting me because he didn't get enough fun on Friday doing it. We're going to do a poll in the chat. Okay. Let's see.
Wedding Crashers or Old School? Let's do it.
Which would you rather watch if you had to?
Well, Amit has to watch both of them. It's just which one is he watching first?
Which movie would you watch first? Wedding Crashers?
Like, I'd almost watch Old School because it came out before Wedding Crashers.
Have you seen The Secretary?
No. What's The Secretary?
I don't know. I haven't seen it either. Wow. Old School already. 60-40. No, Wedding Crashers, 50-40.
Dude, they are so neck and neck.
It's going neck and neck.
They are two of the best comedies you will see in your life. Hands down.
Like, you promise I'm not going to regret spending the time.
You don't like movies, so I can't promise that you won't like it, or that you will like it, but I promise you that they are two of the best comedies ever made.
I mean, anything's better than Squid Game 3 because that was just freaking.
I mean, Old School is just so. They're both incredible in their own rights. They're just so great.
All right, Wedding Crashers is winning so far. 53 versus 47. Tropic Thunder. I've never seen that.
You can pass on that.
I've never seen Superbad.
Yeah, that's a problem. That you've never seen Superbad. That's a problem.
You should get a Nintendo DSi and play Super Mario.
I do not want Nintendo DSi.
Dude, it's cost me $100 from GameStop. So cheap. I got to play it. Like I literally have a game I can play. I'm so happy.
Dude, I have a freaking gaming rig with a 49-inch monitor. Trust me, I'm not playing freaking Nintendo DS.
Dude, it's Nintendo.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that Amit needs to watch. Superbad is very high on the list.
How was the coffee ice cream?
Oh, I thought we were gonna. I'm gonna watch a movie tonight and have it.
Dude, I can go get a cup of or coffee ice cream right now and eat it live.
Well, you should save it and you should eat it while you watch a movie tonight.
I haven't had coffee ice cream in so long, bro. I think it's been literally 10 years.
Like, the fact that you didn't know the phrase "now you can't leave" really hurt. The fact that you didn't know that.
Didn't know.
Did you see Dodgeball?
I played Dodgeball in high school.
Oh my god.
That's a movie, Dodgeball?
On the Ocho, Amit. On the Ocho.
Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn.
It's incredible.
I feel like every time you mention a movie, it's like early 2000s. I feel like all the new movies suck because you keep mentioning these old movies.
Yeah, because these were these are like the greatest comedies ever. But you can't make movies like this anymore. You just can't.
No, you're right. Definitely.
Average Joe's Gym, man. ESPN on the Ocho. The chat knows.
Oh, the chat. The chat knows because like
The chat knows.
chat knows.
They know.
Chat has seen all these movies.
I mean, you've never seen Usual Suspects, have you?
No.
Confidence.
Nope.
Those are two of the best mindfuck movies you'll ever see. Incredible. Not a lot of people have seen Confidence, and that really annoys me because it's arguably better than Usual Suspects.
Caddyshack.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I've seen that movie.
You've seen it. You've
Of
never
course.
seen it. No, you've never seen it.
1980,
You're
dude.
Googling. You've never seen Caddyshack.
Who's Bill Murray? And Chevy Chase.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Who are these? Wait, what?
You've never seen Saturday Night Live or anything like?
I mean, the show. Yeah, I've seen Saturday Night Live sometimes. YouTube clips.
Dude, Caddyshack is, I know I say greatest a lot, but there are movies and then there are movies.
This top 10.
Caddyshack's the latter.
This top 10.
This is a top 10. If like comedy, Caddyshack is top 10. It may even be top 3.
Movie all time. Top 50. Top 20.
Movie all time is so subjective
No,
because
but give me your subjective. What do you think?
because people look at movies of all time two ways. Is it critically acclaimed top 10? Or if it's on TV, are you going to stop scrolling and watch it? That's how I judge top 10 of all time. Is if I'm going through the channels and this movie is on, I don't go to the next channel, I'm watching it. And Caddyshack is one of those movies. Yeah, whoever just said Boogie Nights, I'm with you. Boogie Nights is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen.
Mitt, did you see Animal House?
No.
No. All right, so you've never seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You've never seen Dazed and Confused. Superbad. You have a lot of movies to watch. Yeah, The Big Lebowski, that's a good one.
I've seen Fight Club, but you guys don't want my thoughts on it, so I'm not even gonna.
Fight Club was overrated.
Oh, thank you. Finally, something we agree on. Overrated.
I call it like it is. Fight Club was overrated.
Absolutely overrated.
100%.
Ridiculous.
There's no question about that.
It was not one of those movies.
It's not a great movie.
It's not. It's not. It's not. I
No.
mean, like, I get why people have a like a amicable affiliation towards it, but it's not. It's not that exciting.
No, it's not a great movie. Like there are some quintessential 80s movies that you gotta watch. Roadhouse is one of them. Don't bother watching Roadhouse 2. It wasn't good. Roadhouse was so incredible. You gotta watch like Days of Thunder. And Days of Thunder is something you gotta watch with a good sound system. It's just when you have a good sound system and you watch Days of Thunder, it is just so crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, I haven't seen these movies. Again, when I move out and I like every week, I'm gonna legit make it a thing to watch. I just have not got into them. I feel like when I start watching movies, it's gonna compound every week, and I'm gonna watch like at least one, if not
The
two.
chat is so freaking awesome. Like they're so awesome. Like Rounders,
Rounders good. I've seen Rounders.
Incredible.
Dude, no one believes me. Is it the worst thing in the world that I don't want to watch movies though? Is it the worst thing? Like,
I think you're just growing up in a different era. Like you have to remember, a lot of the people in the chat probably grew up in the same era as me, where we had DVD collections of hundreds of movies.
yeah.
You know, you don't buy a DVD just to put it there. You buy it to watch it because there was no Netflix or anything.
Well, that's the thing with YouTube and TikTok. Like, there's so much content to consume.
I get it, but you're also missing just a huge cultural,
which is why I'm sympathetic and I want to watch these. I agree
like
with you.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Freaking incredible. And I used to use, I'm gonna start using it more as my answer, the Doc Holliday gif. I mean, Tombstone is definitely in my top 10 movies of all time. There's no question about that.
Dude, if a Wall Street if a movie executive came up to you and said, "Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
we've seen your content. We want you to play a role in a new movie we're making about the stock market," would you be interested?
I don't know.
Like, would you hear it? Would you hear the pitch? Just like,
I hear it. I don't think I'd do it.
what if they need a character like you, even if it's a small role in like a company or one of the CEOs or you're one of the executives, and you just, you have a couple lines. Like, I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, if we could get it done in a couple of days, sure. Otherwise, not interested.
there hasn't been a good Wall Street movie since Wolf of Wall Street, and I feel like it's time.
Great movie. Classic. Incredible.
Dumb
But
money.
it's weird because you didn't like Billions and you didn't watch Industry, which is very weird.
Yeah, Billions was too much talking. I did get through season 1, by the way, on Billions, but season 2 was like, what?
Dude, Billions was so good.
I didn't like it.
You know what? They're right. Did The Big Short come out before or after?
Big Short was great. I've seen that like 5 times.
Yeah, Big Short's incredible.
I love that movie.
You didn't watch Succession either, right?
No.
So Succession's really good, but some of it really drags out a little bit. I think, and I send to Mick clips of Industry all the time. I try to get him to watch it. He doesn't watch it.
I cannot stand when people send me Instagram reels because I won't watch them. And I know you send like 10 a day, but I don't watch them because I don't have the patience to stare at whatever thing that you got some dopamine out of.
Dude, they're 15 seconds. That's
They're
why I
not
send
15
it.
seconds. You send like 3-minute long freaking
Oh, no,
in-depth
no.
discussion. Some guy
You
thinks he
just
found an
said that you
alien.
don't even watch. You just said you don't even watch them.
No,
So
but
how would
the
you know if
ones
they're
that I
15
do watch,
seconds or 3 minutes?
I have gotten, I am in notification like overtime right now. And I'm trying to I got out of every Discord I'm part of. I'm leaving a ton of group chats. Like, I'm tired of all the notifications.
I don't even have Discord.
Good, because it's pointless, dude. There's like, unless you're in a group that really matters, but if you're part of all these random
So,
groups, it's like,
I think you would enjoy Limitless. And I've said that in the past. Somebody brought it up in the chat. I think that you would enjoy Limitless.
that's the guy narrates the whole thing.
No.
Hold on. No, I think I've seen it.
Bradley Cooper?
2011, Limitless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was trash, bro.
What?
Let's sleep after 10 minutes. Yeah, this sucked.
Dude, you fell asleep after 10 minutes?
Yes, dude. I tried. This is like 2 months ago. I started, or not even 2 months, a month ago.
Oh my
It's when the guy takes
God.
a drug, he has crazy mental abilities. Yeah, it's just trash.
Dude, Limitless was such a good movie.
No, I don't like it. All right,
Wow.
Tell you,
It was
bro.
so good they made a TV series after it.
Really? They did?
Yeah. I think it was on for 2 seasons.
Have you seen
And I
Memento?
need those fucking pills.
Yeah, Memento's the same concept, I think.
Dude, a lot of people are saying Limitless is a great movie in your chat.
I have not seen Happy Gilmore yet.
I mean, it's good. It can,
You need to
I don't
watch
think I'm
Breaking
gonna
Bad. I
like
watch all these movies. You need to watch Breaking Bad. Like,
I
I will
mean-
watch whatever movies but you need to try Breaking Bad again, bro. I feel like we can actually force ourselves to like really watch at that point.
So, how about this? I will watch Breaking Bad. Whoa, hold on. Before I say that, did somebody just say that?
Somebody said what?
I could have sworn I saw that in the chat. Gary Edwards, 950. Bring that up. Wow.
Highlander?
There can be only one.
I have no idea what that means.
Incredible. Highlander is such a cult classic. Not many people know about it. It's an 80s movie. It became a huge cult classic. USA did a 7 or 8 season series on it. There's been like 6 or 7 movies about the Highlander series, and they're remaking it, and it's coming out next year, I believe. And Henry, what's his name? The guy who played Superman is playing Connor McLeod in it. It's going to be sick.
All right. I will have to really seriously try these movies.
And yeah, whoever said TV version was the best, I actually think Duncan MacLeod was incredible. I think Duncan MacLeod was better than Connor MacLeod. But so I'll watch Breaking Bad, or I will at least try Breaking Bad again. And I watched the first season.
By the way, Better Call Saul is trash. Just putting that out there.
Who just said Animal Kingdom? Animal Kingdom's incredible.
I've seen Slumdog Millionaire. Dude, I had to. Come on, bro. I'm Indian. I had to watch this movie.
So you need to watch Sons of Anarchy. If I'm going to do Breaking Bad, you have to watch Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy?
Sons of Anarchy.
It's a show? It's a movie?
TV show.
Wait, is that about are those people like in Midwest, like cowboys and shit?
Sons of Anarchy, Cowboys? No,
Yeah.
It's loosely based on the Hells Angels. There's actually 4 or 5 real Hells Angels in the TV series.
Dude, I'm not gonna watch this shit. You make me do something. I'm not gonna pay attention to this.
Really?
Oh, this sounds so boring.
Oh, dude, it was so good.
I'll watch something else. That's just like,
Dude, Sons of Anarchy was so great.
What
I
about
actually may
Waterfront?
start again.
Have you seen Waterfront?
I don't know what Waterfront is. But yeah, Animal Kingdom, you should watch Animal Kingdom then. Animal Kingdom's incredible. It's on Prime also.
All right. All right. Who won the vote? The answer is Wedding Crashers, 55-45.
You should do it.
All right. That'll be the first one.
You should do it.
That will be the first one.
Like it.
Jose says only show you need is The Office on repeat till the end of time.
It's one of the best shows ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but it's a great show. It's a great show. It
You
also,
can-
The Office is what got Netflix a lot of subscribers in 2014 because they had full access to it.
Yeah, I mean, you can never make that again. You could never make Seinfeld again. It's just incredible. And I still can't believe you didn't like Entourage. Like, that just hurts.
I didn't give it a fair shot, to be fair, so I gotta try.
Entourage is so good.
Yeah, I gotta try it again.
But yeah, you have a long list. You need to really start cranking some stuff out.
All right, that is it. We enter Q3 on Tuesday, folks. Tomorrow's the last day of Q2. Ramen events. We'll be talking about that. Steve, I don't know if you see my sweat, but the AC is like not working upstairs, so it's hot as hell.
No good.
But regardless, we got a stock markets open tomorrow. Big Robinhood event. And then we enter into Q3, dude. We're halfway into the year. It is time. Like, it's quite incredible how fast it's moving. But
Dude, your chat is saying so many good shows and movies. I will check out Waterfront. I will look at what it is and I will look at it. But they know their stuff. They know their stuff.
okay, I'm probably not watching the movie tonight. I want to go to sleep early, but this week.
You just slept for like 15 hours.
No, that was on Saturday. Today's a new day. Today's Sunday. I want to wake up early tomorrow.
Saturday was last night.
Yeah, but still. Like, I need to sleep early, bro. It's freaking 10 p.m. on a Saturday. I gotta wake up.
It's 10 p.m. on Sunday. You can watch Wedding Crashers.
Dude, I'm not watching a 2-hour movie on a Sunday night.
Go get your ice cream. Oh, dude.
No, I'm not eating ice cream at 10 p.m. Like, I'm not gonna get...
You're not eating ice cream at 10 p.m.?
No, I don't want to eat ice cream at 10.
Why? That's the time to eat ice cream.
Tomorrow, I will.
You eat
wake
ice
up
cream
at
at 10 p.m., you watch a movie, and you go to sleep.
Dude, if it was a Saturday, it makes a Sunday. I feel like Sunday feels too like you got to get ready for the next day. You know, like Saturday feels.
What, you got to get ready for school? You got to go make the bus? I don't get it.
Bro, it's kind of feels like that, to be honest.
Like, dude, you roll out of bed, you're at your office. Like, I don't get it.
No, it's true, but like, it's a good point.
Like, you're acting like you got to get up at 5 a.m. to like get ready and like commute and do all this stuff. Like, you literally get out of bed and you're at your office.
I'm very blessed to. Dude, a couple of years ago, I had to wake up and I had to drive 60 miles up New Jersey. Like I've been through that grind, and
Yeah, so guess what? That means you can eat ice cream at 10 o'clock on a Sunday.
All right, fine. I'll eat the freaking coffee ice. I will text you a picture of the stupid coffee ice cream, and I'll eat it.
Dude, you gotta start with Wedding Crashers and just do it. It's so good.
All right. That's it. Steve will probably join later next week because you guys will be asking for him every day in the chat.
Market's closed on Friday, huh?
Oh yeah, no, it's half day, July 4th.
Half day on Friday.
Are you doing anything for July 4th?
No.
Yeah, my parents went to see some fireworks yesterday in our neighborhood, but besides that, nothing too crazy.
I should do a pop culture channel.
Dude, I've been telling you, Steve needs to make a pop culture YouTube channel and just freaking, talk.
I've seen so much stuff over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, bro, we know you're gonna be late tomorrow. I'm coming I'm gonna do 5 minutes early tomorrow just to shake everyone up. All right, cool. That's it. Yeah, we'll be back later in the week. Robinhood event tomorrow. It'll be a big one, and I'm sure Steve will be on in a bunch of different shows later this week. I think Matt. When do they get back from Mexico? Matt, Chris, and Tevis. I think probably like tomorrow, maybe the day after. All right, cool. That is it. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back. Yeah, big event tomorrow. Market open as always. And we'll keep going from there. Steve's Twitter, I'm just going to put that in the description real quick. You can follow him there. You can check out his Seeking Alpha. I'm sure he worked on a bunch of articles this week. So
is it going to be warm tomorrow?
Yeah, it'll be like 90 degrees. So
I'm going to have to figure something out for lunch.
I love how much you think about lunch, bro. I love how much you enjoy your food, bro. I just love how much you enjoy your food. It's great. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Market Open. All right, everyone.